He has refused to answer questions on several matters, citing his right against self-incrimination. Matlala is expected to return to the Commission next Monday and Tuesday. Commission Chairperson, retired Justice Mbuyiseli Matlanga, made the ruling after Matlala's appearance before the Commission yesterday.
The replying affidavit and heads of argument must be filed by Mr. Matlala at 1800 hours on the 22nd of August 2026, and the evidence leaders must file their heads of argument by 1800 hours.
2 people arrested in connection with the murder of a 5-year-old girl in Samora Machel near Nyanga in the Western Cape are expected to appear in court today. One of the suspects is a relative of the child. The girl was killed over the weekend. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg says the girl sustained a stab wound to her neck.
Investigations led detectives to a relative of the victim. A 35-year-old male and a 40-year-old female were arrested for murder. Investigation into the incident are ongoing. They will appear in the Athlone Magistrates Court on Tuesday, 18 August 2026 on the mentioned charge.
A second suspect is expected to appear in the Boksburg Magistrates Court today in connection with the Reiger Park killings. The 24-year-old suspect was arrested on Sunday for the murder of 2 anti-gang unit police officers and 2 women in Reiger Park, east of Johannesburg. Police say he was arrested following community tip-offs. The killings happened over a week ago when the officers were responding to a shooting incident where 2 women, Jaden Macherman and Rolene Lessing, were shot dead. SADC chairperson and South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says the success of the 46th summit will be measured by the impact it has on the lives of the people in the region's 16 member states. He was speaking at the end of the regional bloc's heads of state and government meeting in Durban last night. Among the summit's key outcomes was a renewed commitment to industrialization and the benefication of the region's mineral resources. President Ramaphosa says his chairmanship will be about the full implementation of the resolutions taken.
Our citizens will ultimately judge us not by the number of resolutions that we have adopted at this summit, but by the difference these resolutions make in their daily lives. The challenge, therefore, before us is implementation. We must measure our progress not only in meetings that we hold and agreements that we sign, but in the kilometers of railway rehabilitated, megawatts of electricity generated, built, intra-regional trade expanded, and jobs created. That must be the defining character of the next phase of SADC's development.
And finally, the Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed that a learner gave birth in a pit toilet at a school in Bizana. It's reported that the baby was heard crying from the bottom of the pit toilet, where teachers struggled to retrieve the baby. Department spokesperson Malibongwe Mtima says both the mother and baby were taken to hospital and are receiving medical treatment.
As the department, we are aware of this incident where a child gave birth in school in one of the ablution facilities. We can only thank the educators who have sprung and helped to the learner to an extent that the child is healthy at the hospital. All the reports we've received to the hospital are pointing to the fact that the support that was given saved the child, and we are grateful for those who went beyond their call of duty to ensure that such a life is saved.
Recapping the top story, the Matlanga Commission has ordered alleged crime cartel kingpin Vuzimuzikat Matlala to file a supplementary affidavit by Friday and a replying affidavit and heads of argument by Saturday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you in your SAFM sports headlines. Plenty with regards to what's happening with the Springboks. It's Siya Kolisi and Ox in chair. They're given time to prove their fitness. And we also have athletics with Bayanda Walaza hailing the SA Sports Awards nomination. We'll find out more at around 6:30.
SAFM. guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. A couple of things to know. The N1 south through Pretoria, a bit sluggish through some overnight roadworks around the Montana Sefako Makato exit. If you're coming off the N4 Bakwena Highway or coming down through Pumalani Plaza through Montana towards Stormful Road, there are some delays there. Joburg looking all right. Don't forget roadworks coming out of Brakpan and Springs, N17 westbound at Rondebolt Road, and again moving up a little bit closer towards Wits Rifles. There'll be some sluggishness getting between sort of Ekurhuleni and Joburg this morning using the N17. Plenty of breakdowns around the N3 corridor. If you're heading between Pietermaritzburg and Durban, there's a breakdown on levels. There'll be some sluggishness getting between sort of Ekurhuleni and Joburg this morning using the N17. Plenty of breakdowns around the N3 corridor. If you're heading between Pietermaritzburg and Durban, there's a breakdown around Linfield Park. That's on the N3 going southbound. A breakdown northbound at the Shongweni exit just after Marion Hill Plaza. And there's also the breakdown on the N2 north going up into Spaghetti Junction. Left lane closed there. Cape Town, misty start this morning. Mist along the N2 corridor, Khayelitsha, Macassar, again through sort of Pinelands and the Langa area. That section of the N2 quite misty. Routes like the M7 out of Mitchell's Plain, the M5 coming up through Rondebosch quite misty as well. It's not widespread across Cape Town, but where it is quite heavy this morning. Drive carefully through it, please. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 8 after 6 o'clock. Welcome to the National Briefing. I'm Kathy Mutlatlana with you until 9 o'clock this morning as we bring you clarity, context and conversation. Well, what's coming up on the show this morning? In Pretoria yesterday, we saw the man at the very center of the Madlanga Commission. That's Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. He took the stand and question after question, this was the response.
Is it your attitude that the Commission cannot engage you on anything that you suspect is currently under investigation?
Not suspect, something that I know for a fact that is under investigation.
So you cannot be engaged on anything that is currently under investigation?
Yes, I do not want to incriminate myself on that.
Well, by the end of the day, the Commission had run out of road. It sent him away. He'll be back on the 24th of August. So one of the questions that I believe South Africans are asking this morning then is really about how far does the right not to incriminate oneself actually stretch, and who is it protecting? That's part of the conversation that we can have. We'll have a full roundup from those proceedings at the Madlanga Commission in the 7 o'clock hour. And then we'll move on to the capital city. The parties that govern Tshwane are accusing each other of corruption. All of this is playing out on social media, and it comes just 3 months ahead of an election. We'll speak to all three, find out what exactly is happening and where are the adults in the room. Have you seen the insults that they are hurling at each other on social media? Please go and have a look. Go and have a look before 8 o'clock. That's going to be the focus of our Municipal Watch a little later this morning. And then the Human Rights Commission has published its report on land 113 years after the Natives Land Act. More than 5,000 old claims are still sitting unresolved. Listen to that, still sitting unresolved. What is our true commitment as a country to land reformation, land restitution and redistribution, right? Because this study speaks to how little progress there has been, particularly if we're looking at the post-democratic era. And then the drinks industry. The numbers to dial 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. That's 0614 104 107. Rob is standing by with your traffic. Zai has your sport, and Ntauleng has your latest market updates.
This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
Well, it's 11 after 6. Let's get then into the newspapers. We'll take a look at what's making front page news. I'll start off with the Sowetan. A clever headline on the front page of the Sowetan. Playing cat and mouse. I don't want to incriminate myself. And there's a picture off with the Sowetan. A clever headline on the front page of the Sowetan. Playing cat and mouse. I don't want to incriminate myself. And there's a picture of Vusumuzi Cat Matlala on that front page. And it says Matlala repeatedly invokes constitutional right as Madlanga inquiry probes 228 million rand SAPS tender, alleged Impala gift and a 15 million rand loan. So remember yesterday he was also asked about this alleged gift that he gave to Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibia of Impalas. He did not want to be drawn on that and said, as far as he knows, that is a matter also under police investigation. The 15 million rand loan from Suleiman Karim, he also did not want to be drawn on that, although he did acknowledge that Suleiman Karim and him knew each other, that they had a relationship. He also admitted to being friends with Hangwani Maumela, but would not say more, invoking the work that the SIU is currently running and the investigations it's running into the Tembisa Hospital and the tender fraud that took place at that institution. So we also saw some tense moments during that appearance yesterday. Vusumuzi's Kat Matlala's lawyer clashing with the evidence leader over whether answers could expose the crime-accused tenderpreneur to further criminal charges. So he's now going to file his supplementary affidavit, and we're going to see him back at the commission on the 24th for cross-examination. So certainly still more to come out of that evidence. The front page of the Citizen, bridges, not borders, says President Cyril Ramaphosa as he shakes hands with Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa. The two men were part of the SADC 46th summit that was held in Durban yesterday. The words migrants, deportation or xenophobia did not cross his lips as President Ramaphosa urges South Africa's neighbors to turn borders into bridges. Remove non-tariff barriers, he says, and make it easier for goods, services, capital and skills to move across our region to accelerate economic integration. That's part of the message that he left the summit with. And like I said, that headline there accompanied by a picture of the president alongside the Zimbabwean president. Also on the front page of the Business Day, they're going with the same story. They've also chosen a picture of the former president, or rather President Cyril Ramaphosa, next to the Zimbabwean president. But this time it's as South Africa then assumed its chairship of SADC, and President yesterday moving to paper over the cracks resulting from the recent wave of anti-immigration protest action in South Africa, and he's called for more cross-border trade and investment. So we have a similar angle there as what is on the front page of the Citizen. Of course, there was also that march that took place outside the ICC of March and March. It seemed to have taken place quite smoothly with very little incidents reported. I certainly didn't see anything, but I guess they too wanted to make their message clear while the heads of state in the region are in the country. And then also on the front page of the Business Day, India opens door to SA citrus exports. The citrus industry is cheering a breakthrough nearly 10 years in the making. India has agreed to include additional treatment options for fresh citrus fruit from its fellow BRICS member, potentially opening up a market of nearly 1.5 billion people. That market is significantly higher than the South African market currently, and think about what it could do for the country. Now, the agreement was announced yesterday and is a step forward as the industry looks to grow its market in India and China and reduce its reliance on Europe, which it takes in about 36% currently of South Africa's citrus, but imposes what local produce its reliance on Europe, which it takes in about 36% currently of South Africa's citrus, but imposes what local producers have described as unnecessary and unscientific plant health requirements. These include zero tolerance for pests such as citrus black spot and false codling moth, compulsory cold treatment, and strict inspection and interception rules. So that's really a significant breakthrough for the citrus industry. The front page of the Star, Matlala's testimony rocks SAPS. A tenderpreneur implicates a suspended police minister in crime intelligence shake-up. They've gone with that angle there, and the headline, the story there is about how Matlala told the commission that suspended police minister Senzo Mchunu allegedly wanted to remove Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo as crime intelligence head and replace him with the deputy Feroz Khan, and all of this while he was answering questions before the Madlanga Commission yesterday. He testified that the former minister Bheki Cele was the source of the claim, and that but the difficulty here was that when he was questioned further on it, he really wasn't able to give more details, but the Commission has asked that he include his response in the supplementary affidavit. So that's what's making news on your front pages, and like I said, we are going to dive a bit deeper into the evidence given by Matlala yesterday in the 7 o'clock hour.
You are listening to the National Briefing with Kathy Mutlatlana.
It's 18 after 6 o'clock. Let's take a look at your weather for today. There are no warnings or advisories. In Pretoria, the weather's fine, 7 and 29. The expected UVB sunburn index is high. Johannesburg, fine, 5 and 27. Vereeniging, fine, 4 and 26. Mbombela, fine, 6 and 24. Polokwane, fine, 8 and 28. Mahikeng, fine, 7 and 29. Vryburg, fine, 7 and 27. Bloemfontein, fine, 4 and 25. Kimberley, fine, 8 and 26. Appington, fine, 9 and 29. Cape Town, partly cloudy, wind light and variable, becoming moderate southerly from the afternoon, 12 and 19. The expected UVB sunburn index very high. George, cloudy with light rain during the early morning, wind light northwesterly, becoming light northeasterly from late afternoon, 11 and 17. Gqeberha, cloudy at times, wind light to moderate southwesterly, 14 and 19. Kugombo City, partly cloudy, becoming cloudy in the evening, wind light to moderate southwesterly, 15 and 21. Durban, partly cloudy with isolated evening showers and rain, wind light northerly, becoming moderate to fresh southerly to southwesterly from mid-morning, 16 and 24. The expected UVB sunburn index is high. Richards Bay, fine, becoming partly cloudy from late morning, wind light to moderate northerly to northeasterly, becoming moderate southerly to southwesterly from late morning, 14 and 24. And Pietermaritzburg, fine, becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon with isolated evening showers and rain, 10 and 26.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. and we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
The Global Briefing on SAfm. In case you missed it,
Herman Mashaba, he's the last one to talk. He promised 2 years ago, I'm going to spend my money, I'll get those people out of Lily Mine. Where are they? They're still there.
Herman Mashaba, when you hear something like that, I mean, like I said, you could be sitting on an island somewhere, but you take this criticism, you must have a very thick skin, and how do you respond to something like that?
Well, I'm used to people who are drunk calling radio stations, and I mean, you can hear this person is not sober.
That was Nightfall with John Gericke. Every generation has a story. Every generation has questions. Every generation has a voice. For 90 years, SAfm has been part of the conversation. This August, we listen back to the voices that brought us here. We celebrate the people who shaped our journey, and we listen for the voices that will shape what comes next, including the launch of a new annual SAfm property. This Women's Month, we are in search of an SAfm woman. 4 extraordinary women, 4 extraordinary journeys. One question: what does it mean to be an SAfm woman? SAfm 90 years. Women, a new voice. 90 years of conversation. A nation story, our shared future. From 1 August, SAfm. Voices may have changed, times may have changed, but the conversation continues. SAfm 90 years.
My name is Damagnini Mavovana, and I am the spokesperson to the MEC for the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape. I just wanted to say happy 90th anniversary to SAfm. Thank you for being the radio station of our lives. My mother introduced me to this radio station, and I remember specifically being introduced to Karani Gwala, who is a brilliant broadcaster and who will forever be a brilliant broadcaster, by my mom. Please don't forget your importance. Don't forget who you've been to the South African society, and continue. We love you so much.
90 years of questions, 90 years of answers, 90 years of South Africans speaking to South Africa. Call SAfm now on 086 000 2032.
Princess Kati, good morning to you, good morning to your team. Are you well? Are you well, Kate, this morning? It's Uncle JJ, the truck driver. Kate, what's on my take? Kate Matala, Vusimuzi. You might be clever, you don't know Mkunu, wati, CBR, this and that. This is what we call Majanga Commission. Those people, they are educated. They study your brain first. Whether he knows, he doesn't know, he's going to jail. Katie, watch the movie.
Good morning, Kathy. It is too shocking that the name of Morgan Maumela is mentioned at Matanga Commission, and I was mentioned at the committee. But this man has never been subpoenaed to appear before Matanga Commission or even at the committee. Despite all this SIU's effort to uncover the corruption of Morgan Maumela, they say his assets left and right and center. So it is Nolan Mafefele Papa. Thank you, Kate.
Call SAfm now on 086 000 2032.
All right, well, thanks for those early voice notes that you've sent through. Unfortunately, we've had to interrupt our normal programming, so the global briefing slightly delayed. We've had a bit of difficulty connecting to our guest for this morning. He is going to be joining us from Kenya, and so the connection is simply not playing ball. But that being said, we can continue to reflect on what's coming out of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. And you're right, I think the question around Hangwani Maumela is probably going to be one that we can expect Vusimuzi Cat Madlala to take answers on when he comes back after having filed his supplementary affidavit, especially acknowledging yesterday that the pair are actually friends. But why is it that we have not yesterday that the pair are actually friends? But why is it that we have not seen more work being done around Hangwani Maumela himself? Is a big question mark. So you're absolutely right to ask that question. And then some of you talking about SADC. SADC are gathering for what? How many years? Hearing the word industrialization with not a single one standing. Israel is making sure we don't unite as African countries. Why do you think Israel is behind the lack of unification on the continent or even in the region? Surely this is a responsibility that presidents should take upon themselves and do good on their commitments and do good on the promise and the idea of building bridges and not building borders. Is that a suggestion that you appreciate, that you welcome from the South African president? It couldn't have been easy for our president going into SADC knowing what the realities of the country have been for the last couple of months and having to face these presidents, right, and having to account by all means for what has been going on. But it seems that it was smooth sailing, really, when it comes to the tensions, the repatriations. Some have called it xenophobia, some describe it as Afrophobia, but it certainly did not come up on the official SADC agenda as many had anticipated. And how's for Tanzania and DRC snubbing the SADC summit, but meeting with each other in Tanzania? Of course, Sophie Mukwena gave us part of the breakdown for that yesterday. But certainly, where is the unified vision for the region? What is the unified vision for the region? Can we agree on this is how we're building together as neighbors? This is what we are prioritizing, and this is how we're going to get there.
Sis Kathy, can I have an honest and a deep plea? Can we all South African refrain on focusing maybe on only on Matlala, Cat Matlala? Can we ask the real questions? Where are the 121 murder dockets? Why did Minister Mkunu shut down the PKTT at 31st December? Why is President Cyril Ramaphosa still keeping the outcomes of the commission in his office? I thank you.
All right. Yeah, I don't think those questions are not being asked. It's just that there's so many layers that have been uncovered to the work of the Madlanga Commission, and the evidence leaders are following the trails, right? So you have the political story, but clearly there's also another story of criminality that has emerged, which is why we see so many cases now before the courts. All right, at 6:30, we'll take the latest news headlines. On the other side of this, we'll bring you our Africa in Focus.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the bail application for suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and 5 others will resume at the Brakpan Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg today. The Matlanga Commission has ruled that alleged crime cartel kingpin Vusumuzi Ket Matlala's supplementary affidavit must be filed by Friday, while his replying affidavit and heads of argument be filed by Saturday. He appeared before the Commission yesterday. And Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has been re-elected for a second term. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Very slow both sides of Gauteng. The N1 South coming through Pretoria down towards Montana overnight roadworks in around the SAfmRadio exit. Very heavy from the N4 Bakwena Highway. And the other side of Joburg, we're convoying slowly between Boysons and Empire Road as rush hour traffic starts to fill up that route. Pietermaritzburg, Ashburton, always worth a check. It's clear this morning, which is good news. Cliffdale Key Ridge also running quite nicely as well. There is a breakdown around Spaghetti Junction, so the N2 North starting to pile up into that one. And Cape Town getting busy on the highways. N1 inbound to Sable, N2 to Main Road, and misty conditions as well, particularly the N2 corridor, M7, M5, M3, sort of southern side of Cape Town, out towards Macassar, Khayelitsha, quite heavy mist in places. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai Khan, a very good morning to you. So we've got some drama in the box camp. Who's been called up, who's not? The greatest rivalry countdown is now on.
Yeah, Kathy, and let me tell you, let's just say your weekend plans are figured out. It's the box versus the All Blacks. And yes, there is always drama surrounding these two teams. But I think Rassie Erasmus will have to sweat over Siya Kolisi and Ox in chair because there's some injury concerns there. And, you know, it doesn't get much bigger than this. So looking forward to this rivalry. In the meantime, over Siya Kolisi and Ox in chair because there's some injury concerns there. And, you know, it doesn't get much bigger than this. So looking forward to this rivalry. In the meantime, yeah, it is the opening test of the 4-match series. Springboks monitoring the fitness of captain Siya Kolisi and the prop Ox in chair. Coach Rassie Erasmus says the rest of the squad, they have a clean bill of health. Now centre, Lucanio Arm, excited.
Facing the All Blacks, it's been the greatest rivalry of all time, and as a player, getting to having the opportunity to experience this will be really amazing. I think it's definitely in the top 3 of the World Cup British and Irish Lions and the greatest rivalry. So I'm really excited. Yeah, as an athlete or a spectator.
From rugby, let's go to soccer. Stellenbosch coach Gavin Hunt says he remains confident despite seeing 24 players leave the club during the current transfer window. Several senior players have departed, forcing Hunt to rebuild with a younger squad. He says most of the exits were beyond the club control because of contract clauses, expiring deals, as well as the financial realities. Adding he's confident the new look squad will grow stronger as the season progresses. Now let's go to the Scottish Football Federation. They've become the latest one to withdraw support for Gianni Infantino's bid for another term as FIFA president. The Scottish Football Federation has lost confidence in Infantino's leadership, joining England, Wales and the Republic of Ireland in backing UEFA's position ahead of next year's FIFA presidential election. Let's go to Spain, where midfielder Rodri has completed his move from Manchester City to Barcelona, signing a 4-year contract with the La Liga champions. The 2024 Ballon d'Or winner says joining Barcelona is a lifelong dream after ending a trophy-laden 7-year spell at City. And finally, athletics former World Under-20 sprint champion Bayanda Walaza says being nominated for the SA Sports Awards is one of the biggest honours of his career. The 20-year-old has been nominated for the Junior Sports Star of the Year.
It feels also really exciting, you know. It feels wonderful. It felt very well. I was happy, energized, that I was waiting for the team come to nominated to such awards. So it was very perfect and great, and we just can't wait for them to make it.
And that's your sport. We'll be running back to the top of the hour, bringing you more. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAFM.
It's 6:35. You're still listening to the National Briefing in Ndauleng. Let's get into your markets. Good morning. China's economy has lost momentum in July.
Good morning, Kathy. Now, the world's second largest economy continues to slow, with July data pointing to weaker consumer demand, softer industrial activity, and continued pressure on investment. Now, retail sales growth slowed to 0.6%. Manufacturing fell into contraction at 49.2 points, while unemployment edged up to 5.2%. Looking at the manufacturing sector, we saw industrial output easing to 4.5% from 5.3% in June. Now, the biggest drag remains the property sector, with investment plunging at 19.2% in the first 7 months of the year. Now, that matters because Beijing has been relying on domestic demand and investment to offset weakness elsewhere, while a softer Chinese economy could also weigh on global growth, trade, and commodity markets. Sticking in the East, but looking at company news, Shein is reportedly targeting a valuation of around $25 billion in its planned Hong Kong IPO, almost a quarter of the nearly $100 billion valuation it commanded 4 years ago. Now, the sharp reset reflects a tougher environment for the fast fashion giant, with slower sales growth, higher trade costs, tighter regulation, and intensifying competition weighing on its prospects. Now, revenue growth slowed to 8% last year, while first quarter growth was just 1.1% as US tariffs hit sales. Shein also swung to a near $100 million quarterly loss, and the lower valuation highlights how quickly investor expectations have shifted around one of the world's biggest online fashion retailers. Over in equity markets, trade has been downbeat as the 60-day US-Iran ceasefire expires, with no broader peace deal in sight, further raising fresh concerns over the Strait of Hormuz and global energy supplies. And so Wall Street closed lower overnight. Asian markets following suit this morning under pressure, with Japan's Nikkei falling 1.6%. Locally, the JSE's headline gain masked a mixed session. The all-share rose 0.54% higher, driven largely by the Resources 10 complex, while financials and industrials weakened. In currency markets, the rand losing ground today as oil climbs back above $90 a barrel. The local unit is around 16.25 to the dollar, 22 to the pound, and 18.81 to the euro. And that's your market brief at this hour. It's over to Kathy now with the business tip of the day.
Thank you, Ndauleng. Our F&B business tip for today looks at strong industries. They're built when people have access to opportunities that allow them to contribute, grow, and realize their potential. In agriculture, access to finance, markets, technology, skills development, and business support can play an important role in helping entrepreneurs build successful and sustainable enterprises. While progress has been made in advancing women's participation in the sector, opportunities still exist to create more pathways for women to move into positions of ownership, leadership, and growth. To create more pathways for women to move into positions of ownership, leadership, and growth. Unlocking the full potential of women in agriculture is not only about creating opportunities for individuals, it's also the full potential of women in agriculture is not only about creating opportunities for individuals, it's also about strengthening food security, supporting rural economies, and driving broader economic growth. So this week, think about the barriers that may still prevent people from participating fully in your industry and what can be done to create more inclusive opportunities. Well, on Wednesday, we'll discuss how transformation can help build a more resilient innovative and inclusive agricultural sector in the FNB Business Interview at 8:30.
Africa in Focus with Advocate Sipho Mantula on SAfm.
It's 6:40. You're still tuned in to the National Briefing. A refreshing morning to you, Advocate Mantula. We'll start off with the outcomes coming out of eThekwini, the 46th SADC Ordinary Summit. Would you say a successful run overall?
Indeed, refreshing morning and Jump Africa to the listeners.
Successful run overall?
Indeed, refreshing morning and Jump Africa to the listeners. Casey, out of 38 decisions, I thought let me look at 7 of them. And probably let's wait and see come Zambia 2027, Casey, what is the barometer. But remember, we've been the acting chair since last year, November. I looked at decision 5, which confirmed King Mswati as the chair of the Troika of the organ. Not a bit convinced there, Casey. Decision 8, looking at the DRC and its challenges, I think from the conflict point of view, Ebola and all those aspects. Decision 9, looking at Madagascar and the panel of experts, I see Mokgweetsi Masisi Chisano being tasked, but also the report of former President Dres Banda being taken into account. Decision 10, again, Casey, looking at Madagascar and the dialogue, and the same like decision 11 on Mozambique national dialogue and the Cabo Delgado process. And I think the last 2 decisions, 33 and 36, Casey, 33 towards the end of the month, we will be closely looking at that extraordinary summit of the AU on the conflict prevention and resolution in the continent. I don't think it will be the DRC only, Katie. It should look at all global hotspots of the conflicts in the African continent. That is towards the end of August. And finally, we have a documentary on SADC. The summit acknowledged that documentary, Katie, that shows the journey of South Africa from 1994 until now. Hence, I say, Katie, let's make SADC work for this region and for South Africa, despite what we have said earlier, that rhetoric was all about immigration, migration, development, infrastructure. But I think from what in Africa Focus we have picked up, those 7 decisions, they are not lotto numbers, Casey. They should be. Rhetoric was all about immigration, migration, development, infrastructure. But I think from what in Africa Focus we have picked up, those 7 decisions, they are not lotto numbers, Casey. They should be implemented.
We also then have Tanzania and the DR Congo seeking to bolster ties in trade and investment. They basically side-eyed the SADC conference. And, now that they're also issuing statements, it's undeniable. They wanted to be seen. They wanted it to be known that it's not that they couldn't come to the summit.
Yeah. But they had promises. Remember, diplomacy said if Sipho Mantula doesn't come, somebody will attend on his behalf. Despite that, I heard Sophia yesterday talking about them. It's like undermining this meeting of the SADC here in eThekwini. But this visit is ending today. Tshisekedi, this is his third visit to Tanzania. He's been there 2019-2022. Meeting with Samia, they are saying they want to focus on trade, agriculture, mining, energy, transport, and issues of peace and security. Has also dominated their engagement. Hence, I said Tshisekedi is flying out of Dar es Salaam back to Kinshasa.
And we finally have results coming out of Zambia.
That's quite true. Preliminary so far, Katie, it has taken time. Hakainde being confirmed so far from the results that have come out with 60%, and counting still trickling, Katie, on parliamentary results, and the confirmation that will be done by the Electoral Commission. Remember, Katie, we are in that stage now that opposition, any member of the opposition, out of 14 of them, they can lodge a dispute now in terms of the outcome. And here we've seen Hakainde going for that term that has been waiting for, probably to clear what he had expected to clear in terms of his relation with China, US, on the natural resources. Others, they call it critical minerals. I still like the word natural resources. The arrest of Brian Mudumbile, let's wait and see if there's more evidence around that, because I see this also is going to come out of observer mission reports to say whether the elections credible, transparent, because those are the barometers, Katie. You might use the word free and fair, Katie. There's nothing free and fair in the electoral space.
All right. Well, let's get into our historical archive. I was going to say, I'm not going to quote you on that come the 4th of November. Hey, I see you're using your words very loosely this morning. But let's look at the 18th of August, 1977.
Katie, let me play this clip, then I will give the listeners what is it all about. It's 49 years where we are remembering the son of the soil.
Changes which are to come can only come as a result of a program worked out by black people. And for black people to be able to work out a program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which was working against them, and this was the psychological feeling of inferiority. So then in 68, we started forming what is now called SASO, the South African Students Organization, which was firmly based on black consciousness, the essence of which was for the black man to elevate his own position by positively looking at those value systems.
That was Bantu Biko Kate. On this day, he was arrested coming from a political meeting, detained in the then Port Elizabeth, now Gqeberha, under the Terrorism Act of 1967. The first president of SASO, a black student organization, and also he was part of Zimele Trust Fund, where he was aiding political prisoners. I will always say, Casey, this day, it leads us to 11 September. If we have to see the dehumanization of Biko, it starts on the day he was arrested, and he was age 30 by then, healthy. But come 11 September 1977, we know what happened between also Eastern Cape and Tshwane. So we'll touch always on this historical moment of Stephen Bantu Biko. Asante Sana KTS are still leading the conversation. SAFM observing the Women's Month and the 9 decades of SAFM.
Running a truck fleet business in this economy is tough. Fuel, maintenance, staff, the costs never stop. That's why I switched to My Way Business Insurance. Now I save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month. These savings go a long way to keeping my fleet on the move.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your trucks and buses. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 for a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
Yo, listen, casual day, yo. One beats, one drum, hear the sound. Let the rhythm move around. Beats is one, rhythm matters. Ish, sticker on, bring your beats. Friday, 4 September, hit the streets. Join the cause, it's casual day. .co.za, beats is one.
This is a SABC supported initiative.
Your geyser would have hot water, but some people overloaded the transformer with their illegal connections. You're late again, and the robots don't work. Some people vandalized it for copper. The whole community doesn't have electricity because some people have been bridging meters for a small fee, and now the transformer has exploded due to overloading. Don't allow illegal connections by criminals to inconvenience you and your community. Report criminals to Eskom on 0800 11 2722 or the SAPS. Save your transformer. Save lives.
Harmony Gold Mining Company Limited congratulates the 2026 Enactors South Africa National Champion Nelson Mandela University on their Batupele BioLoop Africa project and for the passion, creativity and resilience shown by the team. For 2 decades, Harmony has proudly partnered with Enactors South Africa to empower the next generation of innovators, entrepreneurs and change makers. Investing in education is central to Harmony's commitment to building thriving, future-ready communities. We thank every participant, finalist and stakeholder for making this remarkable 20-year journey one of innovation, opportunity and shared success. This message is brought to you by Harmony, proud platinum sponsor of Enactors South Africa for 20 years. Proud platinum sponsor of Enactors South Africa for 20 years.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, Pretoria. First up, still very slow, coming from the Pumalani Plaza side on the M1 south down towards the Montana exit. Looks like an overrun of the overnight roadworks there. Further south, the M1 between Old Joburg Road and New Road looking fairly slow. The Mike 1 Boysons to Empire is jamming. The N17 Joburg bound De Witt's Rifles through a single lane roadwork section slow, and a bit of a backlog on the N12 coming in from Lenasia, Protea Glen just up towards the Golden Highway exit, looking pretty slow there. Durban, if you're around North Dean, the main road up towards the M7 is slower than normal. A breakdown just past Spaghetti Junction. The N2 northbound backing already from the M7 highway. That looks like being a busy run through. Of course, you've got the roadworks to contend with there. At Cape Town, no traffic lights on Stellenbosch Arterial at Delft, Main. Coming from Kales River across the R300 in towards that Belha and Delft area. Very slow. And no lights on the N7 Jakes Kerville Drive at Beaufort Circle. Queuing past Langa into Epping. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 6:50. You're still tuned in to the National Briefing. Let's get into this story now. 113 years after the Natives Land Act, South Africa's map still tells the story of dispossession. The Human Rights Commission says delayed restitution, insecure tenure, spatial inequality, and the exclusion of women exposes a hard constitutional contradiction. And that's that the rights that are promised in law but have not been realized in people's lives. Commissioner Pilile Ntuli joins us. Good morning, Commissioner Ntuli. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning, Sis Kathy. Thank you so much for inviting us.
We've known for a long time that the restitution project of our country has not taken place at the scale and at the pace that would have been expected, especially within a democratic dispensation. But what about the findings do you believe has been really most startling and becomes the one fact that government now can no longer ignore?
There are three particularly important issues that emerge from the dialogue, Sis Kathy. The first is that we cannot understand today's land question without understanding foremost the historical architecture of dispossession. The 1913 Native Land Act was not the beginning of land dispossession, but it was a critical moment in consolidating dispossession into a legal and administrative system. And what the dialogue did was to be very clear that dispossession predates 1913. So we have to understand the deeper history if we are going to address the consequences that we are experiencing today in a meaningful way. Secondly, is that land is not simply an economic asset. It's connected to our dignity, identity, livelihood, culture, ancestry, and most importantly, our sense of belonging. And that became particularly clear in the discussions about communities affected by mining, for example, and the relocation of ancestral graves. And thirdly, and lastly, it is that dispossession can take contemporary forms. It can occur through displacement, insecure tenure, environmental degradation, particularly in urban informal settlements, exclusion from decision-making and development processes that do not meaningfully involve affected communities. So those are the main three areas that emerged as the key issues and findings from this dialogue.
What did you identify as being the principal blockage here? I mean, are we dealing with a lack of political will? Identify as being the principal blockage here? I mean, are we dealing with a lack of political will? Is it the budgets that are allocated towards these processes? Is it state capacity? Why are we not seeing progress at the rate that would show that we're serious about land restitution?
One of the biggest barriers, Kathy, is that the special patterns created by colonialism and apartheid did not simply disappear when the political systems changed in 1994. We continue to see their consequences in where people live, where economic opportunities are located, access to infrastructure and services, tenure insecurity, for example, and unequal access to land. But there's also another important barrier which must be mentioned, and that is how we understand development itself. And we see this a lot in traditional areas, in rural communities. If development treats communities as beneficiaries rather than as participants, as we often do see, we can then inadvertently reproduce the very inequalities that constitutional transformation was intended to overcome. The dialogue was successful in challenging us to think about spatial justice as more than simply moving people from one place to another.
All right.
But the dialogue was successful in challenging us to think about spatial justice as more than simply moving people from one place to another.
All right.
But more about whether people have dignity in how we move them, security, access to opportunities. And the Adolesi case in the Western Cape has also clearly pointed and spoken to this. Land justice as also realizing the question of geography. Land justice as also realizing the question of geography. Where do you move people from and where do you move people to? And what is their proximity to access to economic opportunities, dignity and security matter when we think about land and transformation.
All right. Commissioner Pilile Ntuli will have to leave it there. She's with the Human Rights Commission.
Kathy Mutlatlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAfm Radio.
It's 6:55, turning our attention to this story now. Nearly 1 in 5 alcoholic drinks sold in South Africa may now be illicit. Industry-backed research values the market at more than 25. Turning our attention to this story now. Nearly 1 in 5 alcoholic drinks sold in South Africa may now be illicit. Industry-backed research values the market at more than 25 billion and estimates 16.5 billion rand is lost in excise revenue in 2024. And estimates 16.5 billion rand is lost in excise revenue in 2024. One of the sharpest findings, however, is that many consumers recognize the health risk and buy anyway because the product is cheaper. Dr. Shamal Ramesa is with the Drinks Federation of South Africa, joins me this morning. Good morning. Thanks for your time. Let's talk about why this research was commissioned in the first place. What were you trying to uncover?
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to the SAFM listeners. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Yeah, so the Drinks Federation of South Africa commissioned Euromonitor International to conduct the research so that we could estimate the size and the magnitude of the illicit market or illicit alcohol market in South Africa. We've constantly seen communities being affected by the likes of counterfeit and fake brands, and we wanted to understand, how bad it is actually in the country.
We've seen academics at the University of Cape Town, in particular Professor Corne van Valbeek and Nicole Velios. They've also looked at Treasury's own excise figures, and they, of course, are coming to a very different conclusion. And they say that the legal alcohol consumption has been rising, but that the figure, the 55% figure, in terms of the size that it's been going up in since 2017 is not so. But that the figure, the 55% figure, in terms of the size that it's been going up in since 2017 is not supported. What's your take on that?
So we've had a look at the argument made by both Prof. van Valbeek and Nicole. And, unfortunately, when they look at illicit alcohol, they only look at it as one component, and they look at the tax component of illicit. And so their reasoning is based on this. If the tax on legitimate alcohol has increased, then how can the tax on illicit alcohol increase? But they're only looking at tax components. Now, when we talk about illicit alcohol in the broader definition, and in fact, the truest definition, there are 5 categories of illicit alcohol. Tax is just one component. All right. So if maybe it'll be useful for the listeners to just quickly talk about the 5 different categories of illicit alcohol in South Africa. So the first category that we refer to is your counterfeit or your unregistered brands. And this is largely your fake alcohols. So these are alcohols that are made to look like real brands to trick the customers into buying them. The second component is alcohol trafficking. And this is really where alcohol is either stolen, from warehouses, or trucks are hijacked, or they are diverted from warehouses, or they even round tripped across the border. And because they don't pay the correct duties and so on, it is considered illicit. The third type is what we call alcohol tax fraud. And this is really where legitimate producers underdeclare the amount of alcohol they produce, or they misclassify the types of alcohol they produce. For example, a sugar fermented beverage is classified as a wine, and so on. So that is also then considered illicit. The fourth type is what we call your unregulated self-made alcohol. And this is really your traditional type of alcohols, your mkombotis and your mampus. And don't get us wrong, there's nothing wrong with making these type of brews for traditional and cultural purposes and consuming them at these ceremonies. But the moment you start selling these products into your communities and making profits of them, they are then considered to be illicit.
Sure.
And the fifth type, of course, is surrogate alcohol. Here's where they mix, for example, a cough syrup with a soda, or a denatured alcohol like hand sanitizer with some sort of mixer, and consume it. So as you can see, there is a large category or when it comes to illicit alcohol. Unfortunately, our learned colleagues from REAP only look at tax.
And that's also the point that they're making in terms of the size of the illicit market, that it's just simply too big to establish how big it is or even its growth. Your own report shows illicit volumes at 18% in 2024. That would be down 22% from what it was in 2020. But of course, when we look at the headline that you're sort of leading with, it's with the increase since 2017. Why is the dip in 2020 then not also accounted for?
Yeah, so the dip in 2020 was largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So we've commissioned the Euromonitor research directly after the pandemic, and so it took alcohol volumes of the legitimate market, right, in 2020, and you saw the dip. And that is why you saw also an increase in the illicit alcohol market in 2020, because all of us are familiar with the lockdown and the alcohol bans. And then obviously it exacerbated the illicit alcohol market in South Africa. Okay. For the very first time, criminal syndicates saw an opportunity to really push this type of illegal products. And that is why we saw it grow to 22%. And so obviously the legitimate market recovered after the COVID-19 pandemic, right, and that is why we're seeing that dip.
We're going to have to leave it there. Dr. Shamal Ramesa, Head of Research at Drinks Federation of South Africa.
Theft, accident, and 1 million rand third-party cover for your older car. Outsurance Essential has it all. Get a quote. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
In our top stories, bail hearing for suspended EMPD Deputy Chief and co-accused, and Hichilema re-elected as Zambia's president. Good morning. The bail application of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and 5 co-accused is set to continue in the Brakpan Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg today. 5 of the accused were arrested about 2 weeks ago, while the 6th accused handed herself over to police on Friday. The case stems from the April 2022 abduction and murder of businessman Emmanuel Mbense. Eva Chipa reports.
The state has argued that bail should be denied as the matter has been classified as a Schedule 6 offence. Slain Marius van der Merwe, who testified as witness D before the Madlanga Commission, said several EMPD officers, SAPS members and private security personnel gathered at a house in Brakpan where they allegedly wanted to recover stolen goods. Emmanuel Mbense was found in the house and was allegedly tortured to death before his body was dumped into a dam. Witness D told the Commission that Mkhwanazi instructed him to take the body and dump it in a dam or a mine shaft.
The ANC says it will appeal a High Court judgment that set aside the establishment of a provincial task team in the Eastern Cape. The party has filed a petition with the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein seeking to overturn the judgment. The provincial task team was announced by the ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula, but was later dissolved by the High Court following a challenge by disgruntled party members. The members argued that the formation of the task team did not comply with the ANC constitution. One of the respondents in the matter, Lwazi Kotya, believes that the move to appeal will not be successful.
Again, we've got a strong case in terms of how the process has been done, and we know that guidelines were not followed. It's worrisome been done, and we know that guidelines were not followed. It's worrisome, that notion, because the issue of ANC wanting to appeal court judgment, the issue of ANC wanting to continuously oppose what we submit in court, whereas they know the truth. Whose money is it being used in those cases? It's our money as the membership of the ANC.
The Madlanga Commission has ordered alleged crime cartel kingpin Vuzumuzikat Matlala file a supplementary affidavit by Friday and a replying affidavit and heads of argument by Saturday. He appeared before the Commission yesterday. Matlala is central to the Commission's investigation into the Medicare 24 SAPS tender, his relationships with senior police officers and alleged links to criminal syndicates. Matlala is expected to return to the Commission next Monday and Tuesday. Commission Chairperson, retired Justice Mbuyiseli Matlanga, made the ruling after Matlala's appearance before the Commission.
The replying affidavit and heads of argument must be filed by Mr. Matlala at 1800 hours on the 22nd of August 2026, and the evidence leaders must file their heads of argument by 1800 hours.
Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says he believes the collapse of the Samango Chrome Mine tailings dam facility in the northwest could have been prevented. Government has launched an investigation into the collapse. No fatalities were reported. Mantashe and other officials visited the mine near Brits yesterday.
Samango lowered their guards in supervising the contractors. And contractors handled the slimes dam in a reckless way because they saw seepage 3 months ago, but they allow it until there was a slimes, it's called a release.
Yeah.
And I'm arguing that managing slimes dam cannot be a water issue, it's a mining issue because they are inherently linked to the mining operation.
Meanwhile, Samango Chrome CEO Desmond McManus has taken full responsibility for the collapse.
The mine remains committed. We take full responsibility for the cleanup work. We take full responsibility for the investigation, and we remain committed to make sure that this type of incident never happens. We've made an assessment already. We are busy doing all the costs in terms of rehabilitation, also infrastructure. As we speak, we are busy repairing some of the electrical infrastructure in the area.
And finally, Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has been re-elected for a second term. Results released by the country's Electoral Commission this morning show that Hichilema won about 60% of the vote, defeating his main challenger Brian Mundubile, who secured 38%. The 64-year-old leader campaigned on his government's economic record since taking office in 2021 during a debt crisis. The election comes as Zambia, one of Africa's leading copper producers, remains a key player in the global race for critical minerals. Recapping the top story, the bail application of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and 5 co-accused is set to continue in the Brakpan Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg today. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance Essential is made for older cars. Claims are paid in cash within 5 working days and you choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
We all get insurance for the moment something goes wrong, and when it does, you need the peace of mind of knowing your claim will be handled fairly. Outsurance keeps outperforming. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Outsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. Why would you want to be insured with anyone else? Get a quote and switch today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines Rugby. The Springboks are keeping the All Blacks guessing ahead of Saturday's Ellis Park test. And we also have the incoming Bafana coach, Pitso Masimane, on a mission to strengthen football in South Africa. All the details at around 7:30.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Pretoria's M1 South stays heavy on the run through from the Bakwena Highway down towards SAfmRadio in that work zone. The N4 coming through from Dorampur Plaza to get onto the M1, very slow as well. Midrand section, Old Joburg down to New Road is the damage there. And it looks like there's an obstruction R21 south at Atlas Road. If you're on your way towards the airport, traffic starting to queue into that scene. N12 R24 routes into Galuli is very busy as well today. Southern parts of KZN, some protesting just west of Isengolweni. If you're on your way either to or from Harding, you'll probably have to be diverted around that particular scene this morning. Into a Prospecton's busy, and then a breakdown further up near Westwood Mall. So from the M7 on your way up through Spaghetti Junction, that's all very heavy. A lot of traffic around Phoenix this morning, particularly along the Phoenix Highway option. And Cape Town, N1 into town, very slow from Belleville. N1 out of town has a breakdown at Plattercliff, so traffic starting to backlog there. And no lights on the N7, Jakes Curvewell, Beaufort Circle in Epping. Big queues coming up from the N2 passing Langa. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 10 after 7 o'clock. A very warm welcome to the National Briefing. A good morning to you if you've just tuned in. I'm Kathy Mutlatlana with you until 9 o'clock. Here's what's coming up in this hour of the show. Can the right to silence become a shield against accountability? That's what the Madanga Commission is also grappling with as one of its most important witnesses. Vusimuzi Kat Matlala took to the witness box again yesterday, but said almost nothing really.
You say that former Minister Cele said to you, give him the money, now that he's asking, give him the money, then maybe it will lead us to the minister. To what? What exactly were you discussing that he will lead you to discover? Exactly.
This is according to Mr. Cele. He said to me, Mr. Senzo wants to fire General Kumalo and hire General and replace him with General Khan to that position of crime intelligence. So, and then, yes, he said, yeah, that's what I can remember on top of my head.
But he was hoping it would lead you to that plan.
Commissioner, I will do this, so I will just, because I'll make a supplementary affidavit, so I will just have to put it in details, even this statement, so that I can...
No, that's fine. I'm happy that you deal with it further in your supplementary. Thank you.
All right, so Matlala will now be back at the commission on the 24th of this month. Karen Moon was in the room. She joins us shortly. And Advocate Lufuno Nivondwe is going to explain where exactly the right then to invoking the privilege against self-incrimination, where that right ends. And then we'll also get into our reality check. And this week, Terry Oakley Smith is our guest, and she's chosen the theme, the National Reconciliation Project. As always, we'd love to hear from you. The numbers to dial 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. Rob has your traffic, Zai has your sport, and Ntauleng your latest market updates.
SAfm. South Africa became a democratic nation in 1994. The end of apartheid marked the beginning of a new era built on freedom and constitutional democracy.
The people that died for us on the many marches that they had, especially the ones on June 16, were from students who had dreams that were bigger than themselves. They strived for more and they saw a future that was much bigger than them.
This is what we are becoming. SAfm, leading the conversations that move us.
It's 13 after 7 o'clock. SABC Plus has reached an exciting milestone, surpassing 3 million registered users and cementing its position as one of South Africa's fastest growing streaming platforms, bringing together live TV, radio, sport, news, video on demand and catch-up content. SABC Plus continues to connect millions of South Africans with the content's fastest growing streaming platforms, bringing together live TV, radio, sport, news, video on demand and catch-up content. SABC Plus continues to connect millions of South Africans. This achievement reflects the platform's growing popularity and the SABC's ongoing commitment to delivering world-class digital experiences. Download the SABC Plus app today on iOS or Google Play Store, or visit www.sabcplus.com to join the millions already streaming.
Kathy Mutlatlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAfm Radio.
You're still tuned in to the National Briefing, 14 after 7 o'clock. So let's get then into our big story of the morning, which is the appearance of controversial businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala before the Madlanga Commission yesterday, 7 o'clock. So let's get then into our big story of the morning, which is the appearance of controversial businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala before the Madlanga Commission yesterday. It's become somewhat of a legal tussle, right? And this is over his constitutional right against self-incrimination. Matlala repeatedly using that as he refused to answer questions he believes could prejudice his ongoing criminal cases. Karen Moon is with News 24. She joins us this morning. Karen, good morning to you. So I guess there were no surprises, right? When we spoke yesterday, you called it and you said he would have been watching the evidence of previous witnesses such as Advocate Andrea Johnson, and would very much then want to invoke that right. But it led to a lot of tension in that appearance yesterday.
Well, I mean, it's really where does the line stop, right? Because the refrain from the commissioners, particularly Ceci Baloy amongst others, is that there are factual issues that don't directly pertain to this issue of self-incrimination that he can answer. And I think that that's issue of self-incrimination that he can answer. And I think that that is where we're going to see one of the biggest tussles when he returns to the commission. And then the commissioners now seek to ask him clarification, seeking questions, because there are issues. For instance, the excerpt that you just played was related to that alleged engagement with Becky Cele, where they will say, well, that has no implications. And he sort of acknowledged that in regards to this issue of self-incrimination.
there was a lot that he didn't want to be drawn on. It was the tender that he has been given that, of course, has now been cancelled. It was his relationship with police officers. But he was willing to say a little bit more about his relationship with Brown Mogotsi, Mr. Msebi. What really is his strategy here? Because when you look at his lawyer and her approach to the commission, they absolutely do have a strategy.
Yes, Annalyn van den Heever, I mean, she is a contentious figure, but we all know, I mean, you and I as journalists have covered cases that she was involved in. She often represents very high-profile criminal accused, and she understands the criminal justice system. And I think it was extremely frustrating to the commissioners that essentially she was running interference. At one point, Ceci Beloy telling her that her interjection and essentially framing the response that she said was being suggested to Matlala by the lawyer was simply not appropriate for the lawyer in her position. So there is going to be a struggle there. But I think the most fascinating thing, of course, Kathy, is that we can't forget that the Medicare contract, under the terms of that plea and sentence agreement that Matlala had done with IDAC, and then, of course, subsequently withdrew from after his sentence was increased from 8 to 12 years. Under the terms of that deal, he was going to give evidence against a number of police officials for whom we understand there were arrest warrants waiting to be issued. Now, when he came out of that deal, those people came off the table. And I think having led to this detailed evidence about him, through the WhatsApps, allegedly, Matlala allegedly giving Impalas to Shadrach Sabir, that credit card that was, the commission appears to really strongly believe was given to Fani Nkosi, Sergeant Fani Nkosi, this alleged go-between between Matlala and Sabir, that was utilized to provide payments to Sabir in cash or for fridge repairs and other things. It's very apparent that we can all guess who those figures are that he would have given evidence against and who would have possibly faced arrest and would be facing arrest had that deal gone through. But given the kind of revelations that have come out about IDAC, given this strong sentiment from the commission that case in many ways was being utilized to deliberately target National Commissioner Fani Nkosi because he was charged with PFMA case violations in a corruption case. I don't know what the future of that case is, and that will also be something that will be running in the background of everything that happens in the commission next week.
The commission will also be wanting to piece the puzzle, right, to try and understand what was driving the motives of Andrea Johnson and Feroz Khan in as far as the dealings, in fact, the shady dealings that took place at IDAC. Yesterday, the fact that Matlala was willing to put on record that he was aware of a plan to have Khan replace Dumisani Khumalo, that is absolutely going to be consequential. Is it going to be one of those subjects that he must give more details on in his supplementary affidavit?
Well, he's agreed to do so. I mean, we know that supplementary affidavit hasn't been finalized yet. And what he says he'll say and what he actually ends up saying will be probably two very different things. But I mean, I think that it is something that, for instance, Bheki Cele will have to address. But if that is correct, and if there's any truth to that evidence, then it gives two very different things. But I mean, I think that it is something that, for instance, Bheki Cele will have to address. But if that is correct, and if there's any truth to that evidence, then it gives a direct impetus to Feroz Khan's evident involvement in those crime intelligence investigations. The fact that he was a central figure, a witness in both of those cases against Fulani Lushaba, the Mukwele matter that has now been withdrawn against Dumisani Khumalo and others. The fact that he was, that we had evidence in the IDAC stream about Andrea Johnson, for instance, giving his cell phone number to investigators, that he was, asked to bolster the Lushaba case or given an opportunity opportunity to do so when the prosecutors were saying we don't believe that there's a basis. Peter Serunye is saying we don't believe there's a basis to go forward here. So it's going to raise the heat on him as well. And Kathy, at this point, we don't know when Feroz Khan is coming to the commission to testify. He was shot, but we know he's left hospital and is in rehab. And I think it's likely to be another scenario where we possibly see another medical explanation for why he can't come, because at this point, he is a central figure and the questions against him just keep mounting.
Another figure whose name has come up, and already this morning some of our listeners asking, when is Hangwani Maumela going to come before the commission? So he was also he was one of the people that Vusumuzi Kat Matlala had to give a response on, in as far as the nature of the relationship that they have. But we haven't really seen the commission try to dig a little bit deeper in terms of Hangwani Maumela. How does he fit into all of this?
I mean, he really came into the fore during Suleiman Karim's evidence, right? Because it was apparent, and Matthew Chaskelson took the commission through this, and I know the evidence sometimes is overwhelming. Because it was apparent, and Matthew Chaskelson took the commission through this, and I know the evidence sometimes is overwhelming. We all get a bit lost. But prior to Suleiman Karim suffering this mysterious illness that has now effectively blocked him from testifying on his version at the commission, and of course he's now facing contempt charges over that, he had been giving evidence about the fact that he had channeled money between Matlala and Maumela. And Matthew Chaskelson directly put it to him that this looks like money laundering, because he was paying money into an account that belonged to Maumela's, channeled money between Matlala and Maumela. And Matthew Chaskelson directly put it to him that this looks like money laundering, because he was paying money into an account that belonged to Maumela's sister from Matlala. And, he fundamentally disputed that, but that evidence was extremely important and powerful. And I think, I don't know, I think the commission is really going to push for responses on that, even though Matlala is now saying, well, Karim was one of the people that gave me a 15 million rand loan for Medicare 24, which is the company implicated in this police corruption scandal and case. But, and I don't want to answer questions about it, but I don't know that the commission is necessarily going to accept that. And I think they are going to have to go further into this Maumela connection, because he hangs over this entire issue.
Karen Moore, we're going to leave it there for now. She is a journalist with News 24. So that's a roundup, right, of where things are in the commission. Advocate Lufuno Nevondwe is a constitutional law expert at the University of Limpopo. He was listening in to that. Advocate Lufuno, good morning to you. So this right not to incriminate myself is a constitutional right. We saw Andrea Johnson use it yesterday. One got the sense from the commission, as Karen has explained, that Vusumuzi Kat Matlala was overusing it, and in fact, in some instances, was using it where it was completely unnecessary.
Yes, good morning to you and to listeners. And yes, you are correct. The right to avoid self-incriminating evidence protects witnesses from being forced to give proof or statements that show their own guilty. And under Section 35 of the Constitution, arrested and accused persons have the right to remain silent and cannot be forced to give self-incriminating evidence. So we have seen how Kat Matlala was overusing it. But what are the key rules of this right? No force. So you cannot force a suspect or accused person to confess or provide testimony. The right to remain silent. A person may refuse to answer police questions or refuse to testify during a trial. No guilty from silence. Courts cannot treat a person chose to remain silent as a sign that they are guilty. Witness protection. Ordinary witnesses also have a privilege to refuse answers that expose them to a criminal charge. The limit of this right, because there's also limitation to this right. With regard to the body of evidence, the rule protects personal knowledge and testimony, and not the physical traits like your fingerprints, DNA, or blood test. Choosing to testify, if an accused person decides to take the stand, like what Kat Matlala has done, and testify voluntarily, they lose the protection for that testimony and face cross-examination. So I'm also happy now because Ket Majala is going to give the supplementary affidavit wherein he's going to talk to some of the issues which he was not clear yesterday. So I believe that where it is not relevant, he's not going to use it. He's going to use it only when it is relevant. We are aware of the case which is ongoing, the tender.
Sure.
The medical tender, yes.
The limitations is really what the commission was pushing back on yesterday. And I mean, I've listened carefully to, how you've described the framework in which then Section 35 is applicable. So does that mean that he has the right to not want to confirm certain facts as he was doing yesterday, if he believes that confirming those facts could later then link him, especially where the criminal investigations into him are concerned?
Yes. Remember, there is a case which he was arrested in terms of the Medicare tender. So all evidence there. Remember, he has the right to remain silent, even when he's at the trial. As an accused person, he will have a right to remain silent with regard to that Medicare tender. But on other matters, I think he's forced to testify, which are not related to that Medicare tender case. Because remember, the case is still ongoing, and remember, we assumed that he is innocent until properly convicted by court. So I think he has. I think even his lawyers will. Also advise him not to dwell much into the detail of that case, because many of the evidence is going to abuse those evidence in court.
So we're certainly then starting to see some odds stack up against the commission in as far as these key witnesses are concerned, and whether or not the commission will be able to get satisfactory evidence and statements from them. In the end, the commission would want to be able to tell South Africans who captured the criminal justice system and for what reasons. Do you think we're going to be able to credibly get there if more and more of these central figures are shying away and are using the law to avoid accountability?
Yes, I think we are already in a dilemma, because the witness like Khan must give his side of the story. He has not yet appeared before the commission. Karim also, he has not yet appeared before the commission because of his health and so on. So those are the key figures to provide the evidence, but they've not yet provided the evidence, their side of the story. So of course we'll have back and forth here, because you have a witness right to avoid self-incriminating evidence, because there is an ongoing case which is still there, like in the case of Ket Machala. So on one way or another, he was correct in cases relating to the Medicare tender. He was correct there. When it comes to other matters or other testimony, he was not correct, because he was overdoing it. So I believe that in his supplementary affidavit is going to come up to very clear and provide more evidence, so that it assists the commission, so that the commission is able to analyze those testimony and provide their own findings and also recommendations in terms of what need to be done in future.
Advocate Lufuno Nevondwe, constitutional law expert at the University of Limpopo. We'll leave it there. I wonder what you make of the evidence Ket Machala gave before the commission yesterday, but also more of the details that are emerging, right? The kind of picture being painted around the interests at play who really then was driving the agenda at IDIC? Who was driving the pursuit, the pursuit of these officers, particularly from a crime intelligence point of view, and for what reason? What is the picture that you are drawing from all of this? I'd love to hear from you. The numbers to dial this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. It's 7:30. And good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Kathy. In the headlines, a Malmesbury teenager has been arrested in an international sting operation investigating extreme online child exploitation networks. The 16-year-old boy was nabbed after he was identified during joint investigations by international law enforcement agencies. The bail application of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkwanazi and 5 co-accused is set to continue in the Brakpan Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg today. And President Cyril Ramaphosa says the 46th SADC summit, which ended in Durban last night, was a success. The summit of the heads of state and government signed 3 legal instruments on the SADC Uni Visa, the Declaration to Protect People Living with Albinism and to End HIV/AIDS, among others. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. SAfm. On your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
SAfm. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, Pretoria's Dustmill Tunnel looking heavy on the southbound track. If you're turning off the Mopani Highway, get to Van der Hof and then off Bremer onto Transaranya through the tunnel. Very heavy backlogging going there. Pretoria West quite slow. Pretoria East, I beg your pardon, quite slow. Faulty traffic lights, and then you've also got roadworks. Solomon Mashlangu heading down through towards Grass. Pretoria East, I beg your pardon, quite slow. Faulty traffic lights, and then you've also got roadworks. Solomon Mashlangu heading down through towards Grasfontein. So that's all really busy. Crash on the R21 near Atlas Road if you're airport bound this morning. And it's a big queue getting back through towards the Benoni exit. And there's been a smash on the N3 North at Heidelberg Road, coming up from Sprayview heavy. Separately, if you're on the Heidelberg Road, coming through that N3 into Alberton, that's quite busy and jammed up as well today. Durban, the breakdown on the N2 North after Spaghetti Junction has been cleared, but there's now a couple of breakdowns between Komashu and Gateway. The N2 is really busy, in fact, this morning, queuing from Toti through Prospector, M7 through to Westwood Mall, and then into those breakdowns. So from Queen Nundy up towards Gateway, very slow. Bottom end of the Phoenix Highway out towards Chris Hani under a bit of pressure as well this morning. Cape Town, 2 big traffic lights not working, 2 big and busy routes. Stellenbosch Arterial at Delft to Main, so from Kales River across the R300, that's badly backed up. And the N7 at Beaufort Circle in Epping's down, and that's a queue that extends right back as far as Vangate Mall. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
It's 7:33. You're still tuned into the national briefing. So you know the heat's on when Coach Rassie Erasmus is also weighing into the fray. And he's talking about the Boks not changing their attacking identity for anyone.
Yes, knowing Rassie, he's going to give them a proper Springbok welcome.
But they've been warming up nicely the last couple of weeks, the All Blacks, eh?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
They're ready for us. They've been eating our pap and our boerewors.
You see, Kathy, we are good hosts. You know, we are good hosts, and we're letting them enjoy the provincial tours, because that's what they've been enjoying at the moment. But come Saturday, it's going to be a different story, and I know that Rassie Erasmus is going to be firing on all cylinders, because there's a psychological battle as well, and we know Rassie. He's the mastermind. New Zealand, though, have suggested the Boks slow the game down, but Erasmus brushing off that narrative, insisting the Boks remain committed to their attacking philosophy, which was introduced by the attack coach Tony Brown.
We think there's a certain way how you win World Cups, and we think that's a grind. We think when you're under pressure on your attack, it's very tough to keep cohesion if the pressure is very big and you start fumbling a few balls and then you must stuck to your guns. And we try to find a balance between that and when games are really clutch and crunch, that you have a system that you can fall back onto which protected the player sometimes from not always having the confidence to do things. But since Tony's been with us, we feel we were attacking right, we feel we're doing not too badly.
Let's go now to some soccer news. Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso believing the young defender Tato Sibaya has everything it takes to succeed in Europe. He closes in on a move to the French Ligue 1 club Lille. The South African under-20 international is expected to join the French side with an option to make the deal permanent. Cardoso says the opportunity could be the perfect next step.
Regarding Tato, fantastic opportunity. As you know, I coach in France, so I know very well the club where he goes to. I know very well the facilities that they have. I know very well the stability in terms of process of development of young players and the last stage of affirmation of young players. It's also at the same time a very competitive environment he's going to face. Obviously, I think he's ready for the challenge. What will speak for him is not the level of readiness he takes, is the level of readiness he's going to still develop there.
More soccer. FIFA Chief Operating Officer Kevin Lamore has left World Football's governing body after publicly criticizing President Gianni Infantino's failed proposal to sell stakes in FIFA competitions to private investors. Lamore, who joined FIFA in 2024 from UEFA, questioned the leadership around the project, with his departure adding to pressure on Infantino ahead of his expected bid for another term as president. And finally, tennis. The defending champion Iga Swiatek battle passed from a set down to beat Maria Sakkari 4-6, 6-1, 6-1 and book her place in the fourth round of the Cincinnati Masters. The Argentine Thiago Tirante continued his dream run after a shock win over Novak Djokovic, defeating Spain's Martin Landelus. And we also have Elena Rybakina surviving two lengthy rain delays and a tiebreak to overcome Poland's Magdalena Fresh. Here's Rybakina after a marathon day.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Also, we were stopping on important score, and you always had to come out and straight away start well. And I'm not actually that good in this, and I was trying to somehow be active even when we were waiting. And I'm just super happy that in the end it was straight set win.
And that's your sport. We'll be serving it up some more at the top of the hour. I'm Zaikan.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAfm.
It's 7:38. You're tuned into the national briefing. So let's get then into our market update. And Ndauleng, good morning again. So Chem Air is warning of competition risks in the Fly SAFmRadio deal.
That's right, Kathy. So some turbulence hitting the aviation sector as the proposed acquisition of Fly SAFmRadio owner SAFmRadio Holdings by Harris Aviation is facing a challenge from rival SAMR, which wants the competition tribunal to block the deal or impose tougher conditions. Now, at the heart of the dispute is Harris' interest in Lanseria Airport, which SAMR warns that brings an airline under the control of an investor linked to airport infrastructure. Dispute is Harris' interest in Lanseria Airport, which SAMR warns that brings an airline under the control of an investor linked to airport infrastructure, and that could create an unfair competitive advantage. It is calling for safeguards around airport access, slots, tariffs, and information sharing. Now, the move just comes after the Competition Commission gave the deal a thumbs up, saying it found no incentive for Harris to restrict rivals' access to Lanseria. Now, it's over to the tribunal, the competition tribunal that is, which is to Lanseria. Now, it's over to the tribunal, the competition tribunal that is, which must now weigh those competing concerns. Over in the retail sector, SPAR is facing another test of leadership stability with its chair, Mike Bosman, and deputy chair, Shirley Zinn, resigning with immediate effect. An interim chair has been appointed while a permanent successor is being sought. Now, the departures come as SPAR pushes ahead with a major turnaround under CEO Reza Isaacs, focused on cutting costs, resolving operational pressures, and rebuilding trust with its retailer base and investors. Now, SPAR says the changes will not affect its strategy or guidance and has reaffirmed support from the executive team. But investors appear less convinced, with shares closing almost 5% lower overnight, suggesting the leadership shakeup is adding to concerns over the turnaround. Now, taking a more granular look at equities, markets are waking up to renewed geopolitical risk after the 60-day US-Iran ceasefire expired with no permanent peace deal in sight, with Tehran threatening a more offensive stance. Now, that's keeping investors cautious as concerns over the Strait of Hormuz feed directly into oil and inflation. US futures are pointing to a weaker open, suggesting Wall Street could extend yesterday's losses. In Asia, the risk-off mood has deepened, setting up a cautious open for the JSE at 9 a.m. after a mixed session yesterday. Brent, in the meantime, remains above $91 a barrel, and that weighing on the rand, which is trading at around 16.26 to the dollar, 22 to the pound, and 18.81 to the euro. I'll hit pause on that note and hand over to you, Kathy, for the business tip of the day. The dollar, 22 to the pound, and 18.81 to the euro. I'll hit pause on that note and hand over to you, Kathy, for the business tip of the day.
Thank you, Ntaoleng. Our business tip for today: strong industries are built when people have access to opportunities that allow them to contribute, grow and realize their potential. In agriculture, access to finance, markets, technology, skills development and business support can play an important role in helping entrepreneurs build successful and sustainable enterprises. While progress has been made in advancing women's participation in the sector, opportunities still exist to create more pathways for women to move into positions of ownership, leadership and growth. Unlocking the potential of women in agriculture is not only about creating opportunities for individuals, it's also about strengthening food security, supporting rural economies and driving broader economic growth. This week, think about the barriers that may still prevent people from participating fully in your industry and what can be done to create more inclusive opportunities. On Wednesday, we'll discuss how transfery and what can be done to create more inclusive opportunities. On Wednesday, we'll discuss how transformation can help build a more resilient, innovative and inclusive agricultural sector on the F&B Business Interview at 8:30.
Looking for exclusive content, live events, and special broadcasts like the Madlanga Commission? Then connect to the all-new SAfm Connect stream. Looking for exclusive content, live events, and special broadcasts like the Madlanga Commission? Then connect to the all-new SAfm Connect stream. The Madlanga Commission, live and uninterrupted from 9:30 Monday to Friday. SAfm Connect brings you more of the conversations that matter. Listen anytime, anywhere by visiting connect.safm.co.za or stream directly on SABC Plus at sabc-plus.com. SAfm Connect. More conversations, more access. There's much more coming.
Deciding to ignore the DIY instructions may only cost you a few hours, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands. 48-year-old Adam saves an unbelievable 1,803 Rand a month on his 2020 Audi Q3. Switch to Arsurance. You could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online. 0754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Reality Check on the National Briefing.
It's 7:44. Let's get into our reality check for this week. Our contributor is Terry Oakley-Smith, Managing Director and Founder of Diversity, and she's a prominent diversity specialist, educational psychologist, author, and academic. And the theme she's chosen for this week is the National Reconciliation Project. And yesterday she started off with laying the foundation, right? For reconciliation to happen, it needs both parties to agree, and it must be founded on honesty. Terry, I thought that was such an important point to start the conversation on. And today you want to unpack the idea of one nation, many voices. And it's this many voices that we seem to struggle with, right? Good morning.
Good morning, Kathy. It's lovely to be talking to you again. Yes, I think that South Africa's one nation, many voices idea is very, very unusual among other nations, because it means that diversity isn't incidental. It's actually written into our founding document, our wonderful constitution, which is so admired all over the world. And the Constitution, when it was written, recognized all 12 official languages, and now South African Sign Language was formally added also in 2023. And very few countries put that much linguistic plurality into law. You either, if you think of America, for example, it's English or American English. If you think of France, where there are other languages spoken, it's French. So we chose the much harder path of trying to bring all our languages together. And that's obviously very important for reconciliation. And that takes me to the thought of Desmond Tutu when he coined that wonderful phrase, "We're a rainbow nation." The idea that difference itself, rather than being the same, could be the source of our national identity. And it's really different, Kathy, from the American idea of a melting pot, where everybody gets into one pot, melts down and turns into one thing. We're here proud of how very different we can be. But the honest complication is that this wonderful idea of us being a rainbow nation has always lived in a lot of tension with our material reality. Because apartheid didn't just separate people culturally, it actually built an economy and a geography around that separation. I mean, if white people are listening this morning, and hopefully they are, and they think to themselves, how long did it take for my helper to get this morning? And hopefully they are, and they think to themselves, how long did it take for my helper to get here this morning? I wonder if they have any idea. Because most of us are so separated geographically that traveling up and down really takes a very long time. But so apartheid built this economy and geography around the separation. And 33 years on, income, land, and opportunity, if you think about what I mentioned yesterday, the unemployment, still track the old racial on. Income, land, and opportunity, if you think about what I mentioned yesterday, the unemployment, still track the old racial lines. In spite of EE and triple BEE, it's much easier for a white person leaving university to get a job than it is for a black person. So the idea that many voices, one nation, is really just aspirational. And I think many people think of it as unrealized. I think if we look at it, is it real? Are we a rainbow nation or are we not? It's really hard to say. In many ways, when there was the democracy in 1994, the actual peaceful transition was evidence of us being a rainbow nation. The kind of civil war that many people were expecting didn't happen. And we built a functioning multi-party democracy, which has survived a great deal of things, including the last election in 2024, which produced the government of national unity. And these were parties that were very antagonistic towards each other. If one thinks of the Freedom Front Plus and the ANC, it's amazing to think they can sit together in a government of national unity. So perhaps there is hope for this rainbow nation. And there's also visible everyday cultural diversity. We have genuinely multicultural culinary. Look at the food we cook, musical and religious landscape. And then, of course, there's sport. And I think sport is really a reckoner of where South Africans can actually feel that we are one nation. Obviously, there was Mandela wearing the rugby shirt in 1995. And in 2019 and 2023, the fact that the captain of our rugby team, rugby, that most national of national sports, was headed up by Siya Kolisi. And that just shows us a glimpse of what it could be like. And you'll remember people found themselves sitting next to white if they were black and black if they were white, and coloured people at those matches, and they found themselves talking to them. Sadly, those friendships didn't last, but I guess it was a starting point. I think when we think more negatively about the Rainbow Nation, we know that wealth and land data is very stark. We have a Gini coefficient, which is the highest in the world, a huge racial income gap where white South Africans earn conservatively 6 to 9 times more than black South Africans. And white ownership of commercial land is 72%, which shows a very small 18% left for African, Indian and coloured people who want to do farming. So I think perhaps it's not a question of, is the Rainbow Nation real or is it not real? How can we reconcile through thinking about the Rainbow Nation? But I think the Rainbow Nation is something we need to aspire to. And in further discussions, Kathy, we're going to talk about what can we do to actually get there? How can we make this country of ours the Rainbow Nation which it was promised to be?
Terry, I find it quite interesting that you're saying the Rainbow Nation must still be something that we aspire to. And yet we know just how much of a beating the very concept of a Rainbow Nation has taken over the last 5 to 10 years. And South Africans really, I won't say in their majority because one certainly doesn't know the numbers, but a really strong resistance to the idea of a Rainbow Nation. Why do you believe it's still something that we should believe in as a society?
Kathy, I think because of my work, which involves bringing South Africans together in businesses, in schools, in universities, churches, I see that there is the potential for South Africans to get to know each other. Though it still is very difficult because of the differences I've spoken about, income, people not being able to find any jobs, young people, especially young black people being out of work. These are all huge barriers. But I think it's not something that can happen overnight. And you're quite right. There's a lot of intense anger towards it, especially from people who don't feel it and aren't living it. But I do still think that as we progress as a nation, we can do more work to get to know one another, to get to like one another, hopefully, to get to know what other people's lifestyles are like. And I think if we could cross those barriers, we would have a really fundamentally wonderful nation.
Terry Oakley-Smith, we're going to leave it there, Managing Director and founder of Diversity. Do you still believe in the Rainbow Nation? Is it something that we need to be actively pursuing, reviving as a North Star for ourselves as a society. I want to hear from you on that as well.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Southern side of Joburg with crashes. M1 North inside the Deepcliff interchange. Heavy coming up from Eldorado Park through Devlin. Just across the road, a little bit of crash on the N3 North just past Heidelberg Roads coming through from Spraitview up into Germiston. That's heavy. N17 queuing down to Wits Rifles. That's into the Roadworks Joburg bound. Queuing out to Brackbanner Springs, approaching Rondebolt Road into a separate set of roadworks there as well. N1 North under a bit of pressure again today. Bayers Nordia to Ravonia. That's almost the new normal there. And if you're on the N1 coming southbound, there's a crash near Samran, between Samran and Olifantsfontein. So a bit of backlogging coming through from the Centurion section. Also a collision on the R101, the old Joburg Road near the N1. So to and from the highway, that is quite slow as well. The N1 South easing through Montana after an overnight overrun on the roadworks a little bit earlier this morning. Durban, a broken down truck on the Tollgate Bridge, so that's all a bit heavy. Further up, Alpine Road, Felix Clemeni, Sydenham area. A lot of backlogging going on in that part of Durban this morning. M13 Fields Hills busy, and a couple of breakdowns on the N2 North before the Gateway exit. Very heavy getting up from Queen Nundy Drive territory this morning. Cape Town M7 out of Mitchell's Plain towards R300 busy. No lights. N7 Beaufort Circle. That queue starts from Vangate Mall, and no lights Stellenbosch Arterial Delft Main. That's a heavy queue coming through from Blackheath Cales River into that Delft area. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that Outsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Every nation leaves something behind. A song, a poem, a painting, a performance, a story. This is ours. Join us as we honor the creators shaping South Africa's future at the National Arts and Culture Awards 2026. Friday, 21 August, Sun City. Then watch the primetime broadcast on SABC1, Saturday, 22 August at 8 p.m. NACA 2026. Celebrating our nation's creative excellence.
Electricity theft and network vandalism doesn't just damage power lines, it also leaves communities without electricity. Eskom remains committed to improving network reliability and a sustainable electricity future. Smart meters reduce energy losses, improves network performance, and helps to eradicate load reduction. Say yes to smart meters and help build a safe and reliable electricity network. Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Call SAfm now on 086 000 2032.
It's 7:57. Let me bring in some of your calls very quickly. I'll start off in Cape Town. Is it Mongana? Good morning.
Good morning, Sis Kathy.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I want to respond. I want to respond to the question whether we still believe in the Rainbow Nation. My sister, believing and reality are two different things. As much as we would like to believe, but the reality says something else. I think if you look at the question of equity, already black people are saying we are not yet there, but you look at the political parties that are supported by white people, they say no, scrap it. It is too much. Even the issue of land, for example, when new laws are being developed to make land accessible, people who have land say no, let's go for willing seller, willing buyer, which is very expensive. So you can see that the people who are having are not yet ready to release. The people who were privileged are not yet ready to say, yes, we unduly benefited. It's time that we open up opportunities for the people who were previously disadvantaged.
Yeah.
So we may believe, but it's not a reality.
Okay, Mungana, thanks for that contribution. And Terry has said it's a two-way street, right? It's got to come from both sides. It can't just be one party that is seeking out the reconciliation, that is seeking out the social cohesion.
Morning, Casey and your team. Your guest is spot on. I think the biggest challenge is social cohesion, where you don't have white people moving to townships and it's only one direction, black people moving to on. I think the biggest challenge is social cohesion, where you don't have white people moving to townships and it's only one direction, black people moving to what we call suburbs, former suburbs, and former model schools and so on. And it's because the infrastructure in townships like Alexandra, Tembisa, is not well developed like the infrastructure you'll find in Hyde Park, Sandton, and other urban areas across all provinces. But I think your guest is spot on, and that's the challenge of social cohesion that still needs to be fixed between, in other urban areas across all provinces. But I think your guest is spot on, and that's the challenge of social cohesion that still needs to be fixed between, different races that we have. Thank you.
Thanks for that voice note. And I guess the more we're able to build trust, the more we'll give ourselves an opportunity to see each other beyond the lens of mistrust, right? Because there's still a great deal of mistrust between us as South mistrust, right? Because there's still a great deal of mistrust between us as South Africans. Can black people trust white people? Can you trust Indian people? Can black people trust white people? Can you trust Indian people? Can you trust colored people? And that mistrust often is what forms how we end up relating and interacting with each other. But how do we break down those barriers, the invisible barriers, the invisible walls, and sometimes perhaps if you're looking at spatial planning, visible walls between us? It's 8 o'clock, time for your latest news update, and Musa is standing by.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, a teen arrested in international child exploitation investigation, and Ramaphosa hails SADC summit as a success. Good morning. A 16-year-old boy from Malmesbury in the Western Cape has been arrested as part of an international operation targeting online child exploitation networks. Police spokesperson Amanda van Wyk says the teenager was identified during a joint investigation involving international law enforcement agencies. She says the arrest followed information received from the FBI, the United States Embassy, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
The intelligence indicated that a target suspected of being linked to violent online networks, commonly referred to as 764, was believed to be located in South Africa. The 764 networks are violent international online extremist networks associated with child exploitation. These perpetrators reportedly target, blackmail and coerce minors into online sexual abuse, torturing and murdering of animals, and other forms of harmful criminal activity. Following extensive investigations, the National Security Team traced the teenager to an address in Malmesbury where he was arrested in the act on Monday.
The bail application of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and 5 co-accused is set to continue in the Brakpan Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg today. 5 of the accused were arrested about 2 weeks ago, while the 6th accused handed herself over to police on Friday. The case stems from the April 2022 abduction and murder of businessman Emmanuel Mbense. Eva Chipa reports.
The state has argued that bail should be denied as the matter has been classified as a Schedule 6 offence. Slain Marius van der Merwe, who testified as witness D before the Madlanga Commission, said several EMPD officers, SAPS members and private security personnel gathered at a house in Brakpan where they allegedly wanted to recover stolen goods. Emmanuel Mbenze was found in the house and was allegedly tortured to death before his body was dumped into a dam. Witness D told the commission that Mkhwanazi instructed him to take the body and dump it in a dam or a mine shaft.
A 24-year-old man found guilty of defrauding a businessman of 20,000 rand under false pretenses will today be sentenced in the Polokwane Magistrates Court. The accused, Jerry Taba, pleaded guilty to the fraud charge. Taba sought donations from people claiming that he got a lifetime opportunity to train with the Italian soccer giants AC Milan. He also produced a fake plane ticket and requested more donations. Abafani Munyai reports.
During the previous sitting, Taba's lawyer read a statement where he pleaded guilty. The lawyer has pleaded with the court to be lenient on his client. Taba received the donations after being interviewed on the media, seeking donations to fulfill his dreams of becoming a soccer star. A businessman opened the case against Taba after being suspicious about his activities. He is out on bail.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the 46th SADC summit, which concluded in Durban last night, was a success despite lengthy deliberations and difficult discussions on migration. The summit of heads of state and government signed 3 legal instruments, including agreements on the SADC Uni Visa, the protection of people living with albinism, and efforts to end HIV and AIDS. Regional leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to agreements on the SADC Uni Visa, the protection of people living with albinism, and efforts to end HIV and AIDS. Regional leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to accelerating industrialization. As the new SADC chairperson, President Ramaphosa says the meeting was a great success.
Our summit has been a successful summit. Our discussions were deep and cordial. Our disagreements were few. Consensus seeking was the order of the day. We were united, all the issues that we discussed. On behalf of the government and the people of South Africa, I express my sincere gratitude to all heads of state and government and everyone whose dedication and hard work contributed to the successful hosting of this summit. So in the end, we concluded that this summit has been a successful one.
Recapping the top story, a 16-year-old boy from Malmesbury in the Western Cape has been arrested as part of an international operation targeting online child exploitation networks. For SAFM News, I am Ann Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
We all get insurance for the moment something goes wrong, and when it does, you need the peace of mind of knowing your claim will be handled fairly. Outsurance keeps outperforming the Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Outsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. Why would you want to be insured with anyone else? Get a quote and switch today. Call 0860 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SAFM Sports Headlines. Soccer. Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso has backed Tato Sibia to make his mark in French football, and the Springboks won't change their attacking identity, and that's ahead of the All Blacks test. We'll have all these stories and more at around 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you
around 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, reminder of a couple of hold-ups coming from the south side of Joburg inbound this morning. Collision on the N3 between Heidelberg Road and Grey Avenue. There's still a backlog of traffic coming up from Sprayview into that one. And the other side of town, the M1 North, collision at Deepcliff has now been cleared, but it's left a backlog coming through from Eldos and Devlin as you line up through the interchange down to Uncle Charlie's. R21 South, crash at Atlas Road. That's heavy if you're airport bound. Queues from the Benoni exit. A lot of traffic coming off at the Benoni exit and sort of jamming up some as you line up through the interchange down to Uncle Charlie's. R21 South, crash at Atlas Road. That's heavy if you're airport bound. Queues from the Benoni exit. A lot of traffic coming off at the Benoni exit and sort of jamming up some side roads to work around that one. Also now a crash on the M1 North before Rigel Avenue. Traffic starting to backlog back beyond the R21. And a collision on the old Joburg Road in Centurion near the N1 highway, still causing some delays there as well. Durban side, a collision at Cliffdale, little bit slow heading down to Key Ridge, but nothing too desperate. You've got some more lanes there than you had before. There is a crash scene on Felix Clamini southbound near Moses Kotani. So if you're on that sort of Overport, Sydenham area, that's slow on that section of Felix Clamini going to and from Alpine this morning. N2 jamming up through Umgeta Road towards, jamming on your way to Umgeta Road, coming up through Spaghetti Junction, and that breakdown before Gateway still there, causing a secondary queue up the N2 from as far back as Queen Dundee Drive. Cape Town busy on the M1 into town today from Belleville side all the way through to the elevated freeway in the city centre. A breakdown on the M1 out of town at Bladdercliff Hill causing delays and no lights. N7 Beaufort Circle, start of Epping, that's a heavy queue coming through from Vangate Mall. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 9 after 8 o'clock. You're tuned in to the National Briefing. A very good morning to you and a warm welcome. If you've just joined us, I'm Kathy Mutlatlana with you until 9 o'clock as we bring you clarity, context and conversation. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be getting into our Municipal Watch feature. And today we're taking a look at the coalition that's running the capital city, Tshwane. It's now fighting in public. It's over alleged corruption, the mayor's private home renovations, and the future of the partnership. So joining us shortly will be Action SA, the ANC, and the DA also weighing into the fray. And then later on Built in Mzansi, we'll take a look at an organization that's turning the attention to mental health awareness in communities into a movement. We'll find out exactly how they're doing that. But before that, we'll of course also take your calls, your voice notes. The numbers to use for our studio line this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's 0614 104 107. And this one is for the residents in Tshwane. What has the coalition delivered where you live? What has the coalition delivered where you live? It's part of the conversation I'd want us to have as we get into this infighting. All of that coming up shortly.
Durban, the promenade is calling and the purple wave is taking over the East Coast. It's time to lace up for the Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race on Sunday, 30 August. The race covers the beautiful tour of the city, combining urban streets, scenic coastal roads, and stunning beachfront stretches with views of the Indian Ocean. Catch all the action live on SABC2 and SABC Plus from 7 a.m. on Sunday, 30th of August. The Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race, brought to you by SABC Sports.
Outsurance knows that when it comes to insurance, trust isn't built on clever advertising and promises. It's built on how fairly an insurer pays claims. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Archerans had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. Make today the day you switch to Archerans, where you always get something out. Call 08600 60,000 or visit archerans.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's 1000, or visit archerans.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's, and information online.
Municipal Watch, bringing your local issues on the national agenda. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
It's 12 after 8 o'clock. Let's get into Municipal Watch then. The question we're asking, Tshwane's coalition, is it coming apart? Now, the governing parties in Tshwane are seemingly no longer keeping their quarrels inside the council chamber. The ANC has accused Action SA and Mayor Nasipi Moya of corruption and misuse of city service providers. The DA wants proof that the mayor personally paid for work at her home. Moya says she has the documents but will not submit her private finances to a political fishing expedition. Now we know local government elections are approaching, and what is it really that residents are entitled to? Because what we're seeing now are accusations and counter-accusations. Michael Beaumont is with Action SA. He's the national chairperson. He joins us this morning. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning, Kathy. It's good to be speaking with you, and greetings to the other panelists.
Dikeledi Solowa is with the DA and in Tshwane heads the roads and transport spokesperson. Dikeledi, good morning.
Good morning, Kathy.
And Joel Masilela is the ANC Tshwane spokesperson. Joel, good morning.
Good morning to you and the fellow panel members who are here.
Michael, let's just deal with the allegation here around corruption and the mayor's home. Have you, as Action SA, looked into the matter of these renovations? And does the mayor have proof of payment out of her own pocket for the work that was done?
Yes, absolutely. It is a matter that's been rolling around with various political parties trying to farm out these allegations for a number of months now. And of course, Action SA looks into all matters and takes them seriously. That is the duty of any party that is leading government. From our point of view, there is no credibility to these claims. The claim that this company that does business with the city of Tshwane was dealing with these renovations is entirely without foundation. We have seen the documentation proving which company it is that has done these renovations, and it's very clear there's no link between these two things. But what we are seeing, Kathy, is a very deliberate effort to try and discredit the only mayor in the last 10 years who's got Tshwane moving forward in the right direction. And I don't think people have to scratch their heads too hard to work out that with 2.5 months to go to a local government election, some political parties are starting to panic when they go to the ground for the first time in many years and discover that their supporters and members are no longer their supporters and members, because those people are responding to the political changes that come from improved service delivery and leadership. That has been evident under Dr. Nasipi Moya and this multi-party coalition. So I think the point that the mayor is making, which is a valid one, is you cannot really expect a person to just open up their books and just total invasion of privacy in the absence of any evidence. There is no evidence to support the allegations made in these claims, and therefore, it should end there.
Dikeledi, let's talk about the allegations from the side of the Democratic Alliance. Do you have evidence that a city contractor worked at the mayor's home?
I mean, Kathy, the one thing that's very important to note is that these are obviously allegations. And there is no political witch hunt against Mayor Nasipi Moya. Instead, she made a statement that opened up all the other parties to come to the forefront and ask these questions. Now, there were emails sent by a concern. Instead, she made a statement that opened up all the other parties to come to the forefront and ask these questions. Now, there were emails sent by a concerned member. There were journalists asking, and she tried to get ahead of the story. That's the first thing. Now, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the thing that nobody's even asking that Nasipi open up her personal finances. If she paid for this herself, she just needs to categorically say that these are the invoices. If indeed this was not a city contractor, which she did not refute in her statement, then she needs to prove that it was not done by a city contractor.
But Michael Beaumont is saying that they've done that work as Action SA and they are satisfied that it was not a city contractor. Am I correct, Michael?
Yes, that is correct. And I think there's just got to be an important point. Is it really now the case that a person must prove a negative? Must a person really now prove that they did not do something? Must a person really now prove that they did not do something?
Michael is building a straw man argument. Whether he's seen it or not is not what the public cares about. The reality of the matter is that we all need to be accountable. And if indeed it was a city contractor, all she has to prove is the fact that it was not done by a city contractor.
Yes, but surely also the people that are making the allegations also have a responsibility of providing and substantiating those allegations, which is why I started off with asking you the question, right? What is the evidence that you as an opposition party have that in fact the mayor did use a city contractor? Do you have any evidence that points to that or not?
Kathy, the reality of the matter is that a complaint came into the city that was sent to every single political party. None of us had any of the evidence, so we went and we investigated. That investigation led to a brick wall. And at the end of the day, she then issued out the statement and then said her private life and private finances are not of public interest. Unfortunately, if it was Jacob Zuma, it's of public interest. If it's Cyril Ramaphosa, the Pala happened on his private residency. So she is not an exemption to the rule. The fact is that she addressed these allegations trying to get ahead of the media storm when none of us had any of that.
So Dikeledi, then to be clear, coming out of your own investigation as the DA, you have not been able to get evidence to that effect?
No.
Okay. Let me bring in Joel of the ANC. Joel, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you have evidence that a city contractor in fact worked at the mayor's home and did these renovations?
I think in my capacity as a spokesperson of the African National Congress, being in a coalition with the Action SA and other coalition partners, we engage our issues through the PMC. And I'm going to say it categorically that what you would have seen and having spoken about that there are cracks in the coalition, we will not confirm that, but there are growing concerns, not cracks, growing concerns about how we present. We agree through a coalition agreement, which is the PMC, which is the Political Management Committee, where we sit around the table and speak about the processes that are going to be taken into council. I think the only concern that we have as the African National Congress was around the issue of the city manager, as well as how black businesses would have been attacked when it was something that was supposed to have been ventilated through the PMC. So a report had to serve in council with regard to the city manager, presented by the very executive mayor, who then turned against that particular report. That is a matter that we still think and feel that as coalition partners will be able to speak about these weaknesses through our PMC. On the matter regarding
Joel, I don't think you're being entirely honest, Joel. It was the ANC's Kgosi Maeba that said very pointedly and accused the mayor very pointedly of corruption and claimed that she had misused the city's funds. That wasn't anybody else. Kgosi Maeba said this.
Let me go back. Kgosi Maeba is a member of the African National Congress.
Yes.
Right? And the ANC communicates through its own structures. And I am invited into the meeting or into this discussion in my capacity as a spokesperson of the African National Congress anything I say reflects on what the ANC's position is. And anything that Koshi Mayepa would have said, who is a member of the African National Congress, right, has not been an official position of the African National Congress. And I think it is important that there are also other political parties where its own members would go out and say things that they would have found. Up until the ANC makes its pronouncement, you cannot take anything that will be said by a member of the African National Congress, irrespective of how they are known, as an official position of the African National Congress. And I am saying, in this particular conversation, as a political party being in coalition, there is PMC, and many of these concerns that we have, and the conduct of our executive mayor will be ventilated in the PMC, but there are those concerns that we have raised. One of the city manager, one, the destruction of a black executive mayor will be ventilated in the PMC, but there are those concerns that we have raised. One of the city manager, one, the destruction of black businesses in townships, in which the ANC enjoys 70 wards, and our coalition partner, they are PR, enjoy a single ward. Those are the concerns, and we're saying that we will deal with them through structured arrangement of our coalition, which is the PMC. Although the matter regarding the media reports around the executive mayor's improvements at her house, that there was a city contractor, or she did not pay for those renovations. These are allegations. We are entirely relying on our coalition partners to be able to take us into confidence. And I think the representative, which is Blumand of Action SA, I think before, and I think that there's still that room where they will be able to come around the table with us as coalition partners, including EFF and all of us, and say,
Joe,
these
what
are
you doing?
concerns that...
Are you distancing yourself from the accusations that Koshi Mayepa has made here? Are you saying that those are his views, but you don't agree? So you don't actually believe that there's any questions of corruption that the mayor needs to answer here?
Let me go back. Let's separate these two issues. Any member of the ANC, including Dr. Koshi Mayepa, is entitled to his views. As the ANC, we are concerned about these allegations of corruption, particularly pertaining the executive mayor, who happens to be a mayor in the coalition of a government that is led by the ANC. We are concerned. Therefore, we are saying that it is equally inappropriate for us as coalition partners to be discussing these matters in public, and therefore through the PMC there is a room for us to be taken into confidence by the executive mayor and Action SA of what they know and what they do not know
the actions
in
of
relation
your
to these
member,
allegations.
The actions of your member, Joel, speak
Yes.
against and contradict everything that you're saying now. Because if you go onto his social media feed and see what he has been posting, it contradicts everything you've said.
It's not contradicting anything. It is simply saying there is a view stemming out of everything that would have been widely reported in the media, whether tested or not. Dr. Koshi Mayepa enjoys the privilege of, one, expressing his own views on his own page. But then being a member of the ANC is in coalition with other coalition partners. Those allegations are in the public domain.
Have you
but
called
we are
the mayor
saying
to
that
account? Have you, given how concerned you say you are about this matter, have you called her to account and give you as coalition partners an answer?
Yes. Before I got into this discussion, the secretary of the ANC in the region has confirmed that there has not been a sitting with regard to the PMC whereby the coalition partner in Action SA has been able to take all of us into confidence, and we are hoping that soon that meeting will be convened so that they are able to express to us what is it that they know, whether or not those allegations are true or false. If they are found to be true, they will then have to take us into confidence, because we will not have an executive mayor who is facing such a cloud in the build-up towards the 4th of November, which are the local government elections. And we're saying we are confident that as coalition partners, there is much that we can all do instead of us entertaining anything that are allegations which are not proven as yet as to whether the executive mayor is found guilty of these allegations.
Joe, is the investigation that Michael Beaumont is talking about, which he says the party has run into the mayor's renovations, are the findings satisfactory to you? Because he's come on the record. He said it was not a city service provider that was behind or in charge of those renovations, and it was a provider that was behind or in charge of those renovations, and that as a party they've cleared her of the allegations. Is that sufficient for you?
No, what will be sufficient?
That as a party they've cleared her of the allegations. Is that sufficient for you?
No, what will be sufficient? Those revelations are only made known now, and we are giving our coalition partners the level of confidence that through our PMC, they will be able to come and present to the collective of coalition partners as to what investigations they would have undertaken. And out of those investigations, these are the findings, and the executive mayor is then cleared. Then coalition partners will then have the time where they will then ask those questions, interrogate the findings, interrogate the process of investigation. Thereafter, all of us as coalition partners will then have to go out and issue out a statement of whether or not we are convinced of the process that would have been undertaken.
All right.
So there is no blood on the floor.
All right,
and
sure.
I think South Africans and residents of Tswana need to understand that this is a coalition government led by the African National Congress, and when there are these concerns, it is important that through the PMC we sit around and then we are taken into confidence, and
right,
then we'll then take the public into confidence.
I'm going to ask you to pause it there. Dikeledi, what is going to satisfy you here that indeed the mayor is cleared of these allegations, as her party says?
That is Action SA's side. And I think one thing that we need to get categorically clear is that Action SA has a pattern of, one, disciplining its members or firing members. They've done it with Councillor Abusdal with allegations. They fired an MMC before, and they fired Murutu. But with the rest of us, we have not been brought into confidence about the mayor's expenditure on the swimming pool. And the unfortunate part, the reality is, she's the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. She used the city of Tshwane to refute these allegations. Also, she has a tendency, and there is a pattern that has been drawn here. It started off with the 10,000 for a trip that she did not take, that she had to pay back. It then came to the over 250,000 that she needed to pay back, where the city had overpaid her, where Herman Mashaba then took on that debt and paid it on her behalf. Now, here we are seeing Action SA bailing out Nasipi Moya in terms of all the other stuff and questions around her issues surrounding dealing with money that pertains to the city.
Okay.
That's the first thing. The second thing, Kathy, which is so important, is that in your capacity as an executive mayor, you do have to account to the people. You came out and you put a statement out based on questions that you had been receiving. you are open to public scrutiny. It is not a private matter. We don't want to know where you decided to have McDonald's as an example. However, in terms of the pool, we need to know, number one, did you pay for it for yourself as you play? Show us the invoices. Number two, show us the contractor who has built this pool. Tell us about the security upgrades that have been done to your property and were they necessary, were they paid for by yourself? Was there a risk assessment to that?
All right.
And most importantly, and lastly, Kathy, and this is also pivotal to all of this, is that the building plans. Now, it takes a long time for building plans to be approved by the city. When did she first put in the application to have these home renovations and a pool put on the property?
Okay.
And what was the turnaround time compared to other citizens?
Well, we're going to have to leave it there, Dikeledi. I'm completely out of time. Michael, I've got 30 seconds for you for final word.
Well, I think we just got to kind of realize, Kathy, that we're talking to two political parties that seem to have a very different tolerance level for corruption right now than they did when they were in office. I think the manner in which DA mayors have been found guilty in the recent past has been profound, where there wasn't this philosophy that people must prove a negative. I won't even speak about the ANC for what it's worth. And at the end of the day, Tshwane has a mayor that for the first time in a long time is moving that city forward. And clearly, as we approach an election, this is becoming an electoral threat.
Okay.
We should be flattered, but the mayor continues to focus on the turnaround of Tshwane, because that's the only thing that matters.
Let me thank you all for your time. We're late for news and good morning. Apologies.
Good morning. Thanks, Kathy.
Good morning. Apologies.
Good morning. Thanks, Kathy. In the headlines, a 40-year-old man has been shot dead by special task force members. In the headlines, a 40-year-old man has been shot dead by special task force members during a standoff on a farm in Robertson in the Boland. Police spokesperson Novella Potelwa says the drama initially unfolded on Sunday evening when police responded to a complaint of a man shooting at a neighbor's car. A 16-year-old boy from Malmesbury in the Western Cape has been arrested as part of an international operation targeting online child exploitation networks. And the ANC caucus is calling for the immediate removal of DAMP Dr. Mark Burke from all finance-related committees. He's facing allegations said to be stemming from a Reserve Bank affidavit concerning business activities of Castello, a fintech company founded by him. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good news from Pretoria. The M1 South finally starting to ease between Montana and the N4 split. A lot of construction there, and motorists were caught out badly this morning with an overrun, but lanes are being reopened and traffic moving through. Crash on the M1 North up at Rigel. Delays getting up from the Borta Avenue side this morning. Crash on the old Joburg Road near the M1 Highway, causing a bit of disruption through there. And a couple of breakdowns, bottom end of the M1 South between Allendale and Buccleuch. So coming south after New Road, it gets busy. And there's a breakdown northbound. So you've got N3, N1 into Buccleuch, all lined up through the interchange up towards Allendale Road. R21 south, a crash at Atlas Road still there. Quite a backlog if you're airport bound, and a collision on the N3. Northbound at Sprayview by Heidelberg Road still causing some disruption as well. Crossed into the Durban region this morning. The N3 between Pietermaritzburg and Durban looks good. No major problems. You get through in good time should nothing else change. There was some protesting down around Isingolweni this morning, so just a heads up, Port Shepstone through to Harding. That may just cut in and cause some problems. Umzukulu River Bridge closed tomorrow, 5 a.m. That's just north of Port Shepstone. R102, it's closed tomorrow, 5 a.m. right through until 5 p.m. on Saturday. Need to consider that. And Cape Town, N1 into town, pretty slow this morning. Plattercliff Hill right through the city centre. Crash on Wynberg Hill on the M3 going south has been cleared. And a breakdown N2 into town at Mowbray Main Road means a delay coming through from Langa. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
It's 8:35. Good morning for last time this morning, Zaikan. So we're going to look at soccer now. The Sundowns coach, Miguel Cardoso, he's backing Tato Sibia to make his mark in French football. I feel like our players are all over the world, right? We're producing this international soccer talent.
If French, what? If they think they've got fine wine, our wine is finer. Okay?
Oh, yes. Well, that's very true.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be wonderful to see this player, Tato, doing what he does best. And South Africa, producing some pretty good vintage as well. So we're looking forward to uncorking his success. And we've got the backing of the Sundowns coach. Looking forward to seeing how well, Tato Sibia performs at Lille, which is the French Ligue 1 side. The under-20 international is expected to complete the switch in the coming days. Here's Cardoso.
French football is very special. It's a very athletic football where he will have to cope with, especially in the front, players that are very, very quick, very athletic. It's a game that has a lot of transitions, a lot of exploitation of spaces. In some moments, it has a few things that can be related with our game, but Lille is a school of good football. It's a team that likes to play good football, so I think that is also a good environment because of that for him.
We'll stay with Sundowns, who return to the Betway Premiership action tomorrow night. They host Maruma Gallants, kick-off at 7:30. After drawing with Kaizer Chiefs in their last league outing, Masandawana are looking to get back to winning ways. Defender Grant Kekana says lifting the CAF Champions League has also fueled the squad's hunger to earn even more silverware.
We started on a good note, There's a lot of positives that we've been doing, and it's just about us building. So we're quite ready for the first game of the season, our first home game. And we just want to urge the supporters, to come in numbers, come early. So obviously have a few surprises for them. Our slogan this is also just, as Masandawana, to keep on rising.
And rugby, the Springboks may be finalising their team for Saturday's opening test against the All Blacks. But Lucanio says the players are already preparing for a different challenge that New Zealand will bring. The experience centre says the Boks are well aware of the changes in the All Black setup, but their focus remains firmly on executing their own game.
There definitely will be a couple of changes
in the All Black setup, but their focus remains firmly on executing their own game.
There definitely will be a couple of changes. As we've seen already in their squad, there's young, new, exciting players that are being backed. But I think when it comes between the four lines, as we've seen already in their squad, there's young, new, exciting players that are being backed. But I think when it comes between the four lines, we just have to get into each other's heads, and hopefully the best team will win.
And finally, South African golf legend Gary Player has confirmed that American star Bryson DeChambeau will tee up at this year's Nedbank Golf Challenge at Sun City from the 3rd to the 6th of December. And that's it. Hopefully, Nedbank Golf Challenge at Sun City from the 3rd to the 6th of December. And that's it. Hopefully, he'll be finding his way to the fairway. That's John Herica on SAFM at around 12:30 with more sport. I'm Zaikan.
Get into real conversations weekdays at 4:30 on SABC2 with me, Penny Libiani, with Aintlek Let's Connect.
I'm Frederica Lucas, bringing you some of the most inspiring guests and practical advice.
Every evening, we bring family advice and all your favorite celebrities.
It's a big celebration of local talent from across industries.
Catch Aintlek Let's Connect weekdays at 4:30 on SABC2 or stream anytime on SABC+.
Your business needs new premium mattresses, but do you have the cash to fund it? Before you compromise on the core items your business needs, have you looked at saving on your business insurance? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium for guest houses, boutique hotels, catering companies, tour operators, and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
Good morning, Kathy. I want to ask, man, this ANC guy, is Dr. Kotsumayepa lying while he's writing on his social media platform saying that the mayor has used the state's money to renovate his house? If he's lying, why they can't suspend him? Thank you, Zola from East London.
Hi, Kathy and the SFM listener. Kathy, I think like this thing of saying why is complaining that why they don't move into the school in the township. This thing we can make it easy. In the township, at the rural area, the teachers, once like the children enter the premises of the school, they need to speak English with them because that's the only thing we're looking for. We're not on the comprehensive school. It's just like maybe to know English better. So it must be compulsory for each and every one to speaking English. Then it will be better, even in the rural area.
Kathy, what is going on there in the studio there? What is happening with the spokesperson of the ANC? He's giving us a lecture. What's happening with the spokesperson of the ANC? He's giving us a lecture now. Instead of answering your question as to whether they have the evidence or not. It's just say yes or no. And if they say yes, they must present the evidence. I mean, what is this? This is what has been happening for the past 30 years. ANC giving us speeches that do not help our lives. Kathy, these people have failed, man. They have failed.
Good morning, Kathy and SFM listeners. Buta here from Pretoria. It's clear that the DA doesn't know what they're talking about. They are power hungry and want to get back into government in Pretoria. That will never happen again. Pretoria is doing very well without the DA. And it's clear the ANC guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. So the DA can relax. Moya is doing well. We want Moya, we don't want the DA. Thank you.
All right, those are just some of the voice notes that you've been sending through, responding largely to the conversation on Municipal Watch. Let me go to Cape Town. Bonakele, good morning. You also want to focus on Tshwane.
Absolutely. And, as I'm listening to this voice, I'm laughing, one thing that I like about us as individuals, have different views regarding everything that is happening in this country of ours. First of all, they say this guy was giving a lecture, and to me, he was not. You try by all means to corner him, but he answered you very, very well. For instance, he was talking about this this ANC member was speaking, was it? Yes. He was speaking as an ANC member, but he is not speaking for the ANC, so to speak, of which I was happy about the way he answered you. But you tried by all means to corner him, but that guy was, and you tried by all means to corner him, but that guy was, well informed with regard to explanation. Hence I said, I take my head off from whatever that he explained. But with regard to this one, saying whatever that he was saying, these allegations, are they not going to take action? You understand? Because for me personally, people such as this Dr. Jose blah blah blah, speaking as if he speaks for the ANC and yet is not a member of the, an action should be taken against him.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
You can't deny the fact that Jose Mayepa has been a senior leader of the ANC, particularly
irrespective of being a senior member. But the point is this: you cannot just say anything. You're not speaking for the ANC, therefore. You understand? And ANC has elected someone to speak on behalf of the ANC.
And if the ANC is not satisfied, and if they have an issue with that, then they should be taking it up with their member. But the reality is that Jose Mayepa's tweets and comments on social media are absolutely stoking the fires of these allegations. All right, Bonakele, let's leave it there. Let me go to Sintu in Midrand. Good morning, Sintu.
Yes, good. How are you?
Sintu, switch off your radio.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to come back to Sintu while he sorts himself out. Let me go to Durban. Leanne, good morning.
Good morning, Kathy. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you. Kathy, some time ago, you guys had somebody on the show from SASA regarding this changing from the gold card to the black card.
Yes, we did. Last month, I believe it was.
Yes, and this is my last resort now talking to you guys on the radio because I'm battling to get some information from SASA. My mother's got the gold card, and we've been trying to get her switched to the black card since last year, but she is unfortunately unable to walk due to a medical condition. So we tried going to these places that they say you can upgrade. And in the whole of Durban Central, there's only one place you can go to, which is ShopRite in Durban Central.
Mm.
And we tried to get her there last week, or we got her there last week, only to be told that they've run out of cards and they don't know where they're going to get cards.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I think your situation also requiring, of course, that special assistance, right?
Yes.
Leanne, let me ask you to stay on the line. We'll put you through to our producers and we'll get Leanne in touch with the SASA officials and ask then what the intervention is, right? Especially for somebody like her mom, who, of course, to a large extent is unable to get around easily and therefore has had challenges with switching rather to this SASA Gold card. And the deadline for that is coming up soon, right? So maybe we should also do an update overall on where SASA is. Sintu, let me try you again. Good morning, you're in Midrand.
Yes, good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Go for it, Sintu.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. You know what? I like your line of questioning to these two people from the DA and the African National Congress. And they have failed dismally to provide evidence against the incumbent in the city of Tshwane. And I think they are looking for spiders under the rocks now. We know it's election time, but for them to come up with some serious allegation for the person who has been doing well for the city, I think is uncalled for. I think the spokesperson for the Action SA has given them the evidence that they have been able to investigate, you see, what has happened in relation to the renovations of the mayor, and then they are satisfied. For them to come on the radio and present nothing, you see, I think they are just looking for the political expediency. And then we are correct to ask Bonagele from Cape Town to say that whoever has written those things on the social media, the ANC must take full responsibility, you see, because if they cannot rein their members on what is good for them in the social media, you see, what is it that they are going to do to run the municipality? I think, what is it that they are going to do to run the municipality? I think we are doing a very good job in terms of making sure, yes, the mayor must be accountable to the people, but you cannot wake up and come up with some allegations which are so frivolous. You see, these are the things that are making South Africans to be bitter and be against the ANC, because whenever they lost power, they want to come back to power, you see, with wrong actions. Okay. These are some of the things that we must be careful as South Africans. And then good work from Nasipi. I know her. Yes, I've listened to her. She's doing a very good job in that municipality. We don't need the ANC. The ANC should not be even closer to the coffers of that municipality. Thank you.
Okay, Sintu out in Midrand. Look, the mayor must absolutely provide that accountability. Whatever report and investigation that Action SA has conducted must be made public. That is the only way to satisfy the question, right, of whether or not thorough enough work has gone into it. But at the same time, there is a responsibility and onus on those that are leading the accusation to substantiate. It cannot be that one just makes allegations and then expects the person being accused to prove that they are innocent. There must be some kind of basis on which those allegations are made. Let me go to Skukune. Is it Hadirwa? Good morning.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. It's Flaviro.
Oh, Sabirwa, thank you.
Yes, I just want to make it first that Hoshima Bai is just nobody in the ANC. As far as I remember, he was the chairperson of Tshwane at some point. So for Joel Masilela to classify Maipa as someone in the ANC, I think is incorrect. to put it in that line. And also for Joel Masilela to come and to say that the ANC has the responsibility to take matters when they arise without proof is incorrect. Those who make allegations must provide proof, at least paper trail to it, to say that there is this information. How do you respond? So other than that, they're just fishing. And Tshwane, for heaven's sake, is doing well under her leadership. Is doing some great job under her leadership. ANC had a chance to make something out of it, and they failed. And now it's election time. They just want to make something out of no way.
Okay.
And for Joel Masilela, I think he was a good soccer player, but for his spokesperson, no, they should try for someone else.
Hlawirwa out in Skukune. Let's leave it there. Miss Naidu, you're in Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. This is my first time caller.
Welcome to the show, Miss Naidu.
But I always listen to you, and I try to get through to you, but I just cannot. But I have come to a situation that I can't live the way I'm living at the moment. The owner of the flat, the water burst, and he's not interested of repairing anything in the flat. And what the result is, the sewage is all over. The house is stinking, it's smelling. I can't use a single tap in the whole flat. And I was slipping and sliding and falling. I ended up in hospital. The ambulance actually came to take me. And then I came back home and I fell again and I was back into hospital. Now they put me on crutches. I'm 75 years old. Don't think this is the way I should be treated. When you call the housing tribunal, I went to go and lay a complaint there a month ago. They told me they only got one inspector for the whole of Gauteng. That is humanly impossible. How can you have one inspector? And that one inspector don't even answer his phone.
And Miss Naidu, tell me, is the pipe burst affecting your flat only or?
Only my flat. Only my flat.
Okay.
Only my flat.
All right, Mrs. Naidu. Thanks for calling in with that issue. Stay on the line. I'll put you through to Stanza, to Tabelo, and he'll take down your details so that we can find out for you what it is that you can do, particularly in getting some support from your landlord, and what role the housing tribunal then can also play in taking this matter up. Okay, it's time for a final look at your traffic for this morning. Rob, good morning.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. The R21 towards the airport clearing after an earlier crash down by Atlas Road. The big backlogs really got through there. The N3 North into Heldenace remains busy. Queues from Cement Factory. N17 Joburg bound really got through there. The N3 North into Heldenace remains busy. Queues from Cement Factory. N17 Joburg bound at Wade Village slow into roadworks, and the Boksburg going out to Brakpan and Springs very slow. So a lot of traffic around the Sandton Melrose area both ways on the Mike 1 between Greyston and Caller Drive. And the N1 going north into Buccleuch stays fairly busy on the run-up from Rivonia Road this morning. Durban side, if you're on the N2 going north, a bit of congestion that we had earlier around the breakdown towards Mswanga. That is also east. In fact, it looks good from Amansamtoti Prospect and up through Spaghetti Junction, Umgena Road, all the way to Gateway, moving nicely now. No issues. Ashburton, Pietermaritzburg, always worth checking in on. And Gobo down in the Eastern Cape, open this morning. Shops are open. People to work. First time for a little while that we've seen that. So you're pretty good to go through Gobo for today, at this stage at least. Cape Town, M1 inbound, Plattekloof to City Centre, really busy. M5 North queuing up towards the N2 highway. Had a bit of pressure on the M3 from Wynberg Hill through to the UCT exit. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
What is a nation without its stories? Without its music? Without its artists? Without its streamers? This August, we honor the people who give South Africa its voice. The National Arts and Culture Awards 2026, 21 August, Sun City. Then join millions of South Africans for the SABC1 primetime broadcast on 22 August at 8 p.m. Because when we celebrate creativity, we Sun City. Then join millions of South Africans for the SABC1 primetime broadcast on 22 August at 8 p.m. Because when we celebrate creator.
Mzansi, every win matters. Airtime and data to stay connected. 10,000 Rand to help with essentials, or even 100,000 Rand that could change the whole family story. Watch Skim Sam at 7:30 p.m. A new time slot for Uzalo at 8 p.m. and Generations, The Legacy at 8:30 p.m. every weekday. Most importantly, spot the Daily Show code on screen. WhatsApp it to 076 288 7863 for your chance to win. It's 90 days of winning and 90 minutes of drama on SABC1. T's and C's apply. Visit sabc1.co.za.
Build.
It's 90 days of winning and 90 minutes of drama on SABC1. T's and C's apply. Visit sabc1.co.za.
Built in Mzansi on the National Briefing.
It's 8:55. Let's get into our Built in Mzansi segment for today. Our next guest has built an organization at the intersection of construction, skills development, and community empowerment for decades. Now, they've been training people in trades such as bricklaying, plumbing, and carpentry. This time, however, they're turning the focus to raise awareness about mental health. Khanya Ramosham, however, they're turning the focus to raise awareness about mental health. Khanya Ramoshaba Mbekele is Managing Director at In Touch Community Development. Khanya, good morning to you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning to you, Kathy, and to all the beautiful listeners. Thank you for having us this morning.
So tell us about why mental health.
Mental health became a passion of ours because as we were going around doing some of our social responsibility, working in rural, impoverished and marginalized areas, we came across a lot of youth and realized how troubled they were. So this is where the passion and the click for mental health started. We then realized that something needed to be done, some awareness needed to be raised, and so then the fun run began. The journey of the fun run began.
And you titled it Run for Your Mind, and it's going to be taking place again this year. Of course, you had your first one in 2025. What is it that you've learned about people in the province and the extent to which they do or don't talk about mental health?
It's still a long road, Kathy. It's still a struggle. I still think that people associate the word mental with craziness, white jackets. People are still not talking enough about it. They are scared to be judged. They are scared to be labeled. Topics such as they are scared to be labeled. Topics such as anxiety, depression, emotional struggles. I mean, these are still hidden topics, and there's still a huge, huge stigma, especially in the Black community, about it.
Interestingly, you are in a sector that is very male-dominated. Construction is tough. How do you get your own trainees, whether bricklayers, foremen, to also begin to have conversations around their own mental health?
I mean, during our induction and recruitment, which is the most crucial part of our programs, we make sure that we interact with our learners. We talk to them there. We open the floor to let them know that we are there for them, not only for the training purposes, but, the emotional, psychological, and social well-being is very important to us. And at the end of the program, we want to see them, thrive holistically. So we always always ensure that people understand that we have open door policy and they're always welcome to talk about anything with us.
How are you hoping that this run is going to be received by the people of Polokwane this time around for a conversation that you say is still very hidden?
I mean, we hope that it is well received. We decided to partner with, Polokwane Athletic Club, which is very strong and solidified in itself. It's a running club and club, which is very strong and solidified in itself. It's a running club and natural living spa. They also work, with massages, relaxing people, holistically healing people. So I think we want to be received well and with more partners, more awareness, and to create a space and to allow people to see that we are creating a space for them to be comfortable. The run, we want them to stay longer afterwards and to learn healthy ways to deal with life's challenges.
Khanya Ramoshaba Mbenkele, the Managing Director at In Touch Community Development. I think we could all always use tools to deal with the many challenges that life throws our way, right? On that note, that's where we leave it. It's 9 o'clock. Up next, the Daily Discourse. But first, your latest news update.
In our top stories, teenager to appear in court over alleged online child exploitation links, and Pietermaritzburg faces service disruptions. Good morning. Please note the following story contains graphic details which could upset sensitive listeners, including children. A Malmesbury teenager is due to appear in the local magistrates' court today after the responded to a complaint of a man shooting at a neighbor's car. She says the situation escalated yesterday and the suspect was fatally wounded in a shootout with police.
Things culminated in the special task force deployed and also coming under fire. A policeman was injured and several police vehicles were damaged. 4 firearms, magazines, rounds of ammunition with flags and books with inscriptions were seized from the scene. An inquest docket has been opened for investigation.
The ANC caucus is calling for the immediate removal of DA Member of Parliament Dr. Mark Burke from all finance-related parliamentary committees. Burke, who is the DA spokesperson on finance, currently serves on Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance and the Standing Committee on Appropriations. The call follows allegations contained in a Reserve Bank affidavit relating to business activities linked to Castello, a fintech company founded by him. The allegations concern the movement of capital across South Africa's borders. ANC MP Cameron Dugmore.
The Finance Portfolio Committee has oversight over the Reserve Bank. So it's untenable that someone deeply involved in allegations or alleged to be involved in schemes that manipulate and exempt themselves from exchange control regulations can then be on a committee that... So, in the first place, we will be writing to the Speaker requesting that he be removed from these portfolio committees. And the DA,
can you hear me? Hello?
and secondly, that Parliament
Okay.
investigate.
Servers deliveries.
Oh, it's Tuto here. Sorry. Okay.
With the South African Municipal Workers Union embark on a strike. The action involves about 2,400 employees of the Msunduzi municipality and follows ongoing disputes over issues including job grading and remuneration. In June, industrial action led to disruption.
Okay, that sounds good.
Forcing some businesses to close and resulting in uncollected waste and damage to infrastructure. SAMU's KZN Secretary is Nogubonga Dinga.
Today, the town will be disturbed, especially with the roads, since there is a march from Dales Park to City Hall. Long Market Street and other streets that are joining Long Market will be closed, disturbed by the workers that will be marching. And some of the services of the municipality will not resume today. So because all SAMU members will be joining the march, delivering their grievances to the municipality.
And finally, the prosecution in the case of the only man charged in the killing of the American rapper Tupac Shakur 30 years ago says he handed the murder weapon to the actual killer. The prosecutor says it was part of a feud between rival gangs. The BBC's Shaima Khalil is at the court in Las Vegas.
One line that really stood out as the prosecutor addressed the jury is when he said, "You will learn from Keffe D himself," because much of the evidence against Davis comes from his own words. In his memoir, he describes being inside the white Cadillac and passing on the gun to someone in the back seat. His defense says this account was fiction, details that are embellished to sell books. Davis's lawyer also called the decades-long investigation sloppy and incomplete.
Recapping the top story, a 16-year-old boy from Malmesbury is expected to appear in the local magistrate's court today following his arrest for alleged links to online child exploitation networks. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
90 years of questions, 90 years of answers. 90 years of South Africans.
Hello, this is Elijah Pahlani from Vow 88.1, and I'd like to wish SA's only national news and talk radio station, SAFM, a happy 90th anniversary on the airwaves. I mean, you've been leading the nation's conversation, and the more we listen, the more we know.
Voices may have changed, times may have changed, but the conversation continues. SAFM 90 years. The Daily Discourse on SAFM with Joanne Joseph, unpacking the issues that matter. The Daily Discourse on SAFM, weekday mornings from 9 to 12.
Good morning and welcome. This is the Daily Discourse. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Joanne Joseph. Great to be with you on this Tuesday edition of the program. I've had a couple of days off, so I'm feeling a little more refreshed, but I want to thank everyone who stood in, including Kathy yesterday, to keep the show on the go. Lovely to be back with you. The team is with you, Melissa and Guinea-Aware, producing the show and taking your calls. And of course, let me remind you that if you're hearing a lot of movement around us, that is because we are broadcasting from the foyer of this very high-rise building, SABC Radio Park. And the reason we're doing that is because we're having some really interesting conversations over the course of this month
for two reasons, really. We are celebrating our 90th birthday as SAFM, and consequently, we're bringing back so many of the personalities that you knew so well and who used to speak to you every day. And you're going to hear some of those familiar voices as you have been over the course of this month. And today, we're featuring someone really special, Tshepiso Makwetla. She was with the SABC, or with SAFM in particular, for 10 years. And consequently, she's a very familiar voice to you. She's now with Channel Africa, but she's going to visit us again today. And I'm going to hand over part of the show to her. So we're going to co-present a little bit later on from 10 o'clock. So she's going to be with us from that time onwards. And I'd love to hear from you on what your memories are of Tshepiso, and anything you'd like to say to her. Perhaps there's a message that you would like to convey to her, something that you never got to while she was on air at SAFM. This is your opportunity to do that. You can make use of our studio line 086 000 2032 and our WhatsApp line 0614 104 107. And of course, that's the line you can also use to reach us over the course of the morning as we continue our conversations on various different topics over the course of the morning. Now,